Welcome aboard, everyone, to BRO 2022. It is the second day here, although also the first day for our NA friends that are, just wrapping up their day one over there. But welcome. This is going to be the top 8 cut. They're going to be watching here with us today on the AO region. We are your casters for the day. As usual, myself, Different Fight, joined by Kai and the captain. How are you guys doing?
It's pretty good. It's been a long day, but the day keeps on going, and it's pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, it is absolutely exciting as well. So we just, we had a really wild first day of Swiss, haven't we, guys? Really wild first day. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to what the top 8 has to offer for us today.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And I think we got something to talk about, though, right? We've got some of the preliminary stuff before we jump into the top 8. So why don't we, Fight, are you ready to lead us off?
That's right. Let's take a look at it. Of course, as usual, you guys are probably used to it, been watching BRO all day long, all weekend long so far, but we do have our format for today's event. Yesterday, we played a best of 1 Swiss bracket, and now, after all has been said and done, we are left with the best 8 players who are left to battle it out for first place here. And so, of course, it's going to be a very intense battle. It's still best of 1, and we're going to be going through things round by round. So we're going to watch one of the top 8 matches, followed by the top 4 after that, and then followed by the finals. So it's going to be pretty intense, but of course, before we actually get into the matches, you will also be seeing all of the decks that made it to day 2, as we're going to go through every single list together with you here on the stream. Now, of course, following that, let's also talk about the schedule that we have going into the coming weeks as well, as I'm sure you're already well aware of what we're dealing with today. But, of course, week 2, we have V-Premium. This is going to be on the 29th and the 30th of July, so make sure you do not miss it. And, Cap, why don't you run us through the August weekends that we have for BRO as well?
Absolutely, we will be taking a week break off, but then we'll be going straight into the week 3 of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022, and that will be for the standard format as well. So the overdressed format will be on the 13th and 14th of August as well. So yeah, if you guys are looking to play some more ride decks, so if you're looking to play some more overtrigger stuff, then yeah, it's all on day 2 from there. So be sure to get your signups in once they open up as well. And I believe we also have a week 4 as well. There we go, that's a week 3 on the 13th and 14th of August as well. So yeah, and then we also have week 4 as well for Weiss Schwarz as well. So if you guys are playing Weiss Schwarz, it is the week after on the 20th and the 21st of August. So yeah, if you guys are looking to play some more card gaming action for Bushiroad games, you definitely still have a lot more to look forward to. So definitely all of us have a lot more to look forward to. Kai, what are our top 8 competing for today actually?
Well, we're going to get some prizes, and if you look on screen here, everyone in top 4 gets a certificate, which is cool, right? Nice little way to show it off. Top 3 all get a box of nice goodies, a booster display, but then the prize card for premium this week is the Ori Gorum. And third place gets 1, second place gets 2, and the first place gets a full play set. The card looks very nice. You look at it, it's got the the no text box kind of thing, nice congratulations stamp on it, so you know you're a winner, and you can let your friends know that you're a winner too. So very, very cool. All the players are here fighting for that. It'll be very nice to see who actually takes it all home.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be a very exciting time to see who will be crowned the winner of today's event, as of course, we have 8 players that fought long and hard throughout yesterday, and some of them also fought long and hard throughout all the other regions, and now as a result are also, trying to win those prizes in multiple regions, trying to have more than 4 copies potentially even, which would be pretty crazy if they managed to do that. So I think looking at our top 8 bracket, we have 2 players at least, or if not 3, that have topped multiple regions. So Suo, actually, who was our X1 at the end of the AO rounds, went undefeated in EU. And I was just messaging him earlier, and he was saying, like, yeah, I just woke up, and ready to run through the top 8, and not knowing, how to deal with the matchup that they're being put into. But, it's going to be very exciting if Suo can get the rundown on both regions. We also have Peter who is also, one of our fellow commentators that, is not commentating for Premium. They are commentating for V and Standard later on during the weeks, but, didn't commentate, ends up topping 2 regions, which is pretty insane when you think about it, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's pretty wild to think that, even though we are, like we have the freedom to play these, these rounds as well. So we are players just as much as we are your broadcasters as well. But yeah, it is a fun weekend after all. I did say many times before yesterday that this is like a wild weekend, a fun weekend for Vanguard players. Yeah, we are no different as well.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Plays. I know Sua really wants that win. It's been close. Came second a few times, So, and there's other famous names there as well. We do have the bracket though. If we want to take a quick look at that and see who's playing who, I think it's a bit different from the ones you might have seen yesterday. At the
Yeah,
top
so
there,
just to kind of give some clarification, we did have some players that made it to the top 8 that unfortunately did not check in to the top 8 itself, or had some complications during deck check, and therefore we had that's kind of the thing. If you let's say bubble and you're like 10th or 11th or 12th or 9th, make sure to kind of stick around just in case you get called in, because sometimes one of the top 8 either oversleeps or doesn't manage to go through check-in, and then they try to call on the people that ended up a bit lower than that to play into the top 8. So that's how Peter got in here. So at the top we're going to have Notorious Et versus Peter. This is going to be Dark Irregulars, NLK, Barrow Magnus versus Mega Colony with Shield Fisher. And then Kai, what do we have going up after that?
we've got Darren Carney versus Lux, which should be quite interesting. I think this is a much more traditional matchup, right? This is just double checking the decks here. We have, I think it's not, is it Nightmare Dolls versus Lux is playing. Yeah, Nightmare Dolls versus the Grand Blue. So this
Yes, that is correct.
Yep.
very. We've seen this quite a lot of times through the last few seasons and regionals, right? And then Caps, what's the next one? The next bracket.
The next bracket is actually a familiar game, actually, because it's going to be a rematch from a proper rematch, round 2 of last night, yesterday's round 8. So it's actually going to be Yusei versus Kagze as well. This is, if I remember correctly, it's Spike Brothers against Aquaforce. This is Tabas in play as well. So yeah, maybe we might finally be able to see a proper conclusion to the round 8 match that we weren't able to complete yesterday. Chris, what about the last bracket as well?
Yeah, so we went through the entirety of the top 8 and we end up with Suo versus Tankman Mode Interrupt at the bottom side. We talked about Suo earlier. They were playing Highlander Bermuda, which of course is a deck that we've seen time and time again. It's more of an aggressive build, not so much one that tries to tank and try to be super defensive all the time. And then Tankman Mode Interrupt does play different decks throughout the regions. I believe they did sign up with Regalia in the other 2 regions, but in AO they are playing Susano and managed to make it to top 8 with Susano OTT. So definitely interested to see how that list is going to look right there.
Yeah, and both of those plays very well known. Steven was on basically a roll yesterday. Let's see how far he can get. But then the OTT, quite a surprise. Tankman Mode Interrupt always is able to somehow make it work. It'll be good to see how how the new cards have impacted, made the OTT deck stronger. So I'm quite interested in that matchup. But we have the Noto versus Peter. That one seems very rough when you think about how Ghidorah overall works versus versus NLK. I think it's
that's gonna be rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough as well, since it's a NLK Barrow deck as well. So Shield Fisher with the 18k base as well. Then when you strike over with the tried over with Ghidorah. Sorry, I lost my words there. But yeah, just being able to deny the Barrow Magnus to just be able to call out from the Solar. So it's just going to be a rough time for NLK to actually get out there. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think we have the decks ready. So let's kind of take a look at the decks, right? See what we get to see today.
Let's break it down. Of course, you know, these are the players that fought all the way through to make it here. And we're going to be starting off with the top of the bracket. Notorious Et. She's running the beautiful NLK Barrow Magnus list that I'm sure you've seen time and time again. This deck is pretty strong and has been strong for quite some time. It's been getting better and better. You know, some of the recent Amon support has also been a good slot in for the deck too. We see the Food Greenland, of course, here. The grade 1 Amon support that helps to, you know, not just set up the soul, but also help clear out the hand a little bit on the opponent's side as well. And this deck has definitely been performing quite well. Notorious Set has even been taking this deck to some of the community tournaments. And, you know, just been showing up and, of course, having a lot of good win cons. And this deck also has some really good support from the P Clan collection on top of everything, too.
Yeah, Noto is a very well-known DI player. And I think I've been playing this deck like a couple of times just try out. The worst thing that can happen to you is you don't ride NLK. But when you do, it's time to win, right? But let's swap it over to the kind of the G zone and take a look at how this deck has improved, or how it has changed. And we can see, whew, 3 of those G Guardians, 2 of the 4 facts. That's a lot of new cards, eh?
Yep. There's definitely a lot of new cards over there. So I mean, the Dark Dragons deck is definitely one of those clans that really got a huge boost to it. Especially if you're going with a multiple attack Vanguard, which is what No Life Thing actually does with its abilities as well. Top that with the G Guardians that actually denies criticals as well. So anybody that's going for like a high crit, like strong finish as well, they will have to work around Nijabis for that. So that's the new G Guardian right there.
That is right. Like, this deck is just, it got some really strong support. The new Stride works just hand in hand with NLK as a playstyle, as an engine, as a idea. And of course, the new G-Guard has been such a great out to certain matchups, being able to just decrease that crit. You know, the card got revealed, people were like, is this really that good? You know, you gotta pay CB for it. But honestly, it really is. Like, being able to just counter certain matchups and being able to have that kind of leeway and breathing room against certain decks they don't have otherwise is very, very huge. And I think that is a very determining factor in what makes DI so good in this format, because of the new support that it got and how well it works with the already top contender of the DI decks in this format. Now, of course, let's take a look at their opponent's list, which is going to be Peter's Shield Fisher Mega Colony. So we did see this deck on stream once yesterday, which is basically utilizing the machining engine that essentially wants to work with itself in order to rest certain targets like the Cyberster, which then looks at the top cards of your deck and helps you plus. And then on top of that, you're just sitting on this huge Shield Fisher, which is of course the 18k base Vanguard that you mostly just stride over, and then you sit on 18k base on your opponent's turn, basically playing MLB in Mega Colony. Kai, do you have anything else that stands out about this deck to you that you want to bring up?
Not too much. I just want to say that you had a very strong deck before. Some parts of it disappeared, but you have now just different ways to find a way that can like still make it work. And I mean, you know, drawing 3 cards is pretty nice, but Shield Fisher you can kind of mitigate like card loss just by being 18k. So overall, it's just the funny ways that you can kind of mitigate what you've lost, but still maintain the strong core that is you have the Gridora Stride and continue to do things. And we'll see it very, very soon when we flip it over. But then just overall, the rest of the deck still is very, very annoying for your opponent. Yeah? But yeah, let's flip it over there. You see 4 of that Gridora Stride. And now you have also the new P Clan Collection Stride that can also, you know, minus power, be very annoying. Just overall, you had a strong core with Gridora and several of the other strides, but now you have that extra bit that kind of makes up for that lack of books. Yep.
Yep, indeed as well. So this is a deck, as mentioned, that we have seen before in yesterday's rounds, and you know it had a very, very strong showing on that round also when we were casting at the time. So we kind of are expecting like similar things as well from this deck, but I'm very certain that it is a strong deck to contend against. So especially with so many superior calling decks that are actually in the top 8.
Exactly. Like, Gridora just is a card that has an incredible matchup against the majority of the meta, and the decks that have a good matchup against Gridora sometimes don't have a good matchup against everything else, and then that kind of, ends up being the way that the meta is shaped. And on top of that, with the machining engine, this deck can just play a nice grade 2 game too, so it's a great deck, but this is only the first of the top 8 matchups that we're talking about. Let's go to the second one. Of course, we don't want to take up, a whole hour just talking about people's the matchups going in here. And then here we have Darren Carney, one of the only Nightmare Doll players that has actually come out on top this weekend. It's a big upset, honestly. Like, I think people expected a lot more Nightmare Dolls, with the deck not necessarily getting the strongest hit, but we've really not been seeing that much in terms of Nightmare Doll's success rate today. But Darren Carney manages to prove to the world that, they are still capable, that Nightmare Dolls are still powerful and capable of topping. Now, Kai, tell me more about how Nightmare Dolls have adapted with the new restriction list, and how will they fare in this current meta?
Well, how Nightmare Dolls have adapted with the new restriction list is basically just take their old deck, they replace some of the strides that got hit, which is basically Harry, and put in whatever they want, which is usually just the new G-Guard and the new stride, and that's basically it. They really haven't changed, but as you can see here, Darren's deck is pretty much last decks from that's been working for the last couple of seasons. And if we want to actually see changes, let's flip it over to the G Zone and look at probably a very similar G Zone build. But you can see there, 2 of the new G Guard, adds a bit of threat, added some more Yvettes, and that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Not too many changes. You have, as long as you have the princess, you're still going princess, right?
Yeah, you're still going princess, because Dark Princess is still a very, very strong first strike to go in, so, and especially as a finisher. But also note that Darren is actually not playing the Pecan Collection strike, which is actually Leontide. So Leontide has the ability to be able to get a Battle Doll ability off when you manage to call different grades out to the field. We can see that Darren actually opted not to put it in, and instead, going with Fairfield and Beatrice and Progenitor and Xeroth Dragons in there, just to replace the Harris that used to be there. So we can see a very, very good adaptation of the restrictions that was hit, so even though it wasn't much.
Yes, exactly. So it's a deck that, of course, has had to adapt a little bit, but let's take a look at what it is going to face against and whether adapting is going to be enough to beat it. Let's take a look at Darren's opponent here in the top 8, which is going to be Lux with the tried and tested Beatrice Grand Blue. This is the deck that keeps on giving. We've talked about so many times about the ratios, the different cards you can play in this deck and how you can sculpt it. And we see so many different builds for this deck, but some things stay consistently there. The Beatrice is at 4, Skull Dragon's at 3, Columbard's at 4, Greedshade actually at 4 here, which I think, I've seen some players reduce Greedshade a little bit in that count. And of course, there are some players that also reduce Columbard in that sense too, but other than that, it's a lot of those usual one-ofs that help adapt to certain matchups, because of course Grand Blue just has that ability to tutor through the whole deck, find whatever targets it needs, and on top of that, still run it through with the very offensive trigger lineup that it has.
Yeah. I mean, this is the one matchup where Grand Blue, when you look at the deck, it's basically 46 good cards there, and then the last 4 cards, it's up to you, right? It's up to the player. But this matchup between Lux and Darren is basically the one matchup where they've hardly changed any of their cards, because it's just a good deck. It's a good solid deck that people are comfortable with, and you don't need much changes. Let's flip it over to that G Zone and just take a look at some of the other changes that we might see, which is the new G Guard and the new Stride. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Bartholomew has been one of those, one of those new strides for the PK collection that has proven to be a really strong opener, but also a much more stronger ender as well, with the ability to actually force your opponent to actually call 3 or more cards every time that they want to cut off an attack. So set your opponent at 5 damage and you're set over there. The G Guardian 2 as well which is, you know, -1 crit until battle for every 10 cards. So again, similar to what we have seen before with other clans, with another clan, Oriana can really like put a damper on any high criticals that opponent might have. So, but of course, we can't forget the classics as well, which is actually Bad Bounty. Always been proven to be a very, very good stride there. And yeah, just rounding out the list of it all. So with all the standard cards for Grand Blue, right, Chris?
That's correct. So now let's move on and take a look at our next top 8 match over here and what we will be seeing between these two players. And this is going to be Yusei, the one and only Spike Brothers player in the top cut. Spike Brothers definitely a clan that people expected to do very well. This deck just has very beautiful lines of play, being able to just push out so many cards out onto the board and convert them into even better ones. You know, you have the Dudley package that works very well with itself, making sure you can get Dudley Lucifer out to, you know, turn on a lot of your countercharging. And then on top of that, you know, you have the ability to use Rising Nova to essentially just, you know, copy some of your grade 3 abilities and then use them in order to make the Vanguard even more powerful. And of course, all of the multi-tacking plays that you can do with the strides that you have. So I think with that, let's flip over to the G-Zone, because I think that is where a lot of the power for this deck also resides, especially with Galley, the brand new stride that for basically just Soul Blast 1 enables so many plays. What do you think of Spikes right now in the current format, Kai?
I'm pretty scared of it, I have to say. I'm happy that not that many people seem to play it as much, but it's a scary deck, and it's a deck that you really have to be careful of, because if you're not prepared for it, suddenly there's so many attacks, they're at big amounts of power that you are surprisingly like, wait, what? That's so big? And then gets followed up with a lot more, and it just really comes down to how much the Spike Brothers player wants to push. Not you don't get to dictate that, right? You're sitting there and you're just eating damage. So you have to be very prepared for this deck. And the thing is, not that many players would have played against it and be prepared for it, which is going to give Yusei a big advantage in this matchup. Any other thoughts, guys?
Yeah,
Well,
Cap,
for
do you have
me-
anything else to add?
Not much, so because everything about the Spike Brothers that has been said. So the only thing that I want to see is I hope to really see, you know, how this matchup turns out again. So especially since his opponent is somebody that he has faced off before in the Swiss rounds. So we should check out his opponent, right?
Yeah, let's
Which
take a look
is
at-
Kagze. Yeah, which I
Kagze.
believe it's Kagze. Kagze, thank you. Kagze with the Thavas deck.
I'm actually surprised. There weren't as many Thavas decks compared to the other ones in the pool yet. This is definitely one of those scary ones there. All right.
Yeah, it
that
is.
right.
Yeah, it is very, very scary from there. So with Thavas' iconic skill of getting multiple attacks, but not to forget also a lot of utility in this deck as well, with Coral Assault and with Nerissa as well, getting the plus draws and also plus power during the battle phase as well. So you know, there's a lot going on with this deck that you know that can really like put pressure on the opponent while also building yourself up to be a bit more comfortable in the defensive turns.
Exactly. Stavros is a powerful deck, can ride down as well, which we can see with the Connell being in place in the deck. Does draw a bunch on first stride as well, thanks to, of course, not just the main deck with, you know, good old Nerissa and Coral Salt, but also Gambold, the amazing first stride that the deck has. But it's a strong deck, and I'm curious to see how it's going to perform in this top 8 as well, because it's a deck that we haven't really seen as much of, and I think the only top that the deck has right now in BRO so far is actually here in AO. So it's cool to see, and of course, you know, this deck is just also taking care of that Narukami matchup in case it comes up with that sleeve-tugging bell. But let's take a look at the G-Zone and see which of the new cards are being played too. So we can see here, of course, a 1-1 line of the new G-Guard and the new Stride. And what else are we seeing here in this G-Zone kind that you think will help Kagze get closer to victory?
Well, here's the thing, right? Thavas already had a great kind of game plan with basically its main deck. Stride deck, something that you slap on and go, yeah, it's good enough. So I think like Thavas already had all of its tools before. It has a new G-Guard and a new Stride that is kind of okay. It's there for just you know, a specific situation. I feel like Thavas is just a deck like similar to before, for like the Grand Blues and the Nightmare Dolls that already had all its tools. And it's just not as popular as those two. But let's take a look at the last matchup, right? The last match, the one that we will very likely be seeing, I think. We have Suru's deck here, a Highlander build. That's basically what you do with this deck. You get a Katia, you bounce it, and you keep on playing it, and then you get all the pieces that you want. Life is great, and then that's pretty much it. You put in a couple of techs that you think are good, and then get your important pieces, and you're multi-attacking like crazy. Great times. Great times. Anything else you want to add to this deck, Chris?
I mean, the deck is just very, very strong, and this is a more aggressive version of the deck as well. You know, with Highlander, it's like, you think like, oh yeah, I have to put on a bunch of these like one-ofs and like random cards, but you can see the general card quality of this deck is insane. Like, these are all cards that you would normally want in a deck to begin with. You know, whether you have, you know, like the Pearl Sisters that are already Highlander cards to begin with, you know, some of the cards from Lyrical Monasterio that help to buff yourself up too, the good Cray Elementals like Connell and Honolly, you know, just everything in this deck is a good card, which is part of what makes Highlander so strong right now. And of course, let's also take a look at the G-Zone, which is a great boost in what makes this deck so good. Of course, the Heltrauda, the new Stride, is being played as a 4 of, because of course she is just that strong, being able to essentially be a Vanguard restand, more or less a Chrono Dragon next stage for Bermuda Triangle, is really, really big. And of course, one of our fellow commentators that is working on the NA stream right now, Outer Orange, was the one to reveal this card, as well as the new G-Guard, which also offers a really good defensive buff to the deck. And on top of that, I mean, Bermuda's always had a very strong G-Zone lineup, right? And of course, like, you know, Tirua, as well as all of the really strong bouncing G-Guards, have been some of the strongest parts of, you know, the Bermuda Triangle lineup. And of course, we're going to see how this deck is going to perform in this top 8 match as well.
That's right. And before, again, the Highlander builds relied on things like Alk. So that was a bit complicated. Now, life is easy when your Heltrauda just keeps on restanding the Vanguard pretty much, and you get super value from your force markers. But let's take a look at what is Suru going to be playing against, which is going to be OTT, Tankman Mode Interrupt. This OTT is got a lot of the core cards that you'd expect from OTT deck, right? Yep. This time going with the Susanoo engine, also the one-off, it's grade 1 Tsukuyomi, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I actually asked around a little bit about the one card in Tsukuyomi, and because of the fact that you also have Sai in the build as well, so which allows you to actually fetch out the Tsukuyomi and ride it as standard. So it's just a means in which that you could also deck in, but also check the top cards and actually put the rest of the bottom of the deck as well. So in a way, it kind of helps to filter out the top deck to you know, or set up the bottom deck, whichever is the more viable option of the two. And yeah, just going in there with cards like Amaterasu that helps plus power to the Vanguard as well whenever it gets revealed as a top card and such. And yeah, this deck is one of it is the one that really has caught my eye from there, and so I really, really want to see this in action as soon as possible. But I think he's got some really, really good you know, strides in here, which also includes the new one from the PK collection.
That is correct. Let's take a look at the G-Zone here and see what Tankman Mode Interrupt is bringing. We do see a 2-2 lineup of the new strides. Of course, Dragon King is a really cool new stride that, honestly, I kind of underestimated how good this deck is in general. How good the card is in general, because of just how much it pluses and how free the effect is as well. You know, virtually having to pay no cost to get, you know, triggers activated off the top, to get cards called out off the top. It's really, really good. And of course, the new G-Guard as well is very strong, although it does require a CB, which, again, quite a lot of your, you know, G-Zone lineup is already fighting for. But, you know, at the same time, it is still a powerful defensive card, and in case you don't have CB, you can always G-Guard with the Amaterasu to run through the top of your deck.
Yeah. Especially with the Amaterasu as well, because it can really activate off of Happiness Gathering Dragon King as well. But there's also a lot of classics here, which includes Momo and Ichikishima in there as well, just to really kind of ramp up the aggression that this deck could have.
Yeah, and I think that's just it just turned a solid deck into a more solid deck everything. You can go. You can get that very quickly now. Just building a whole field as well, right? It's just everything you want. Everything you want. In
Yeah,
just a
it is.
first stride. And it's funny because OTT was well known to have a very weak first stride. Then they got Momo, which is okay. It's good. But now they have the Dragon King, which now you have two options going into first stride, which is just, it's great. Options are great. And your Ichikishima is always just this solid follow-up stride that just always works. So OTT basically just has like the full package now. The full package now. So yeah, very, very interesting. I really like this top 8. Again, it should still be one of every single deck.
Yes,
even with the
very
changes.
diverse. Very, very
Yes.
diverse, even with the change.
Yes, so yeah, I'll be very interested to see what actually comes out in the end, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been a very exciting run into the top 8, and we're going to be taking a look at the match between Lux and Darren Carney here for the quarterfinals for the top 8 here to decide who goes to the top 4 and starts fighting for those prizes.
It'll be very interesting to see who goes first here. This is an age-old matchup that we've seen for a bit. Just it's that it's that the two veterans facing off, and it'll be very interesting to see if this matchup has changed at all. Has the new strides really changed anything, or the new G Guardians?
Yeah, exactly. And, it's going to be, again, it's these two decks that have been existing throughout the entire meta for 2022. We definitely saw a lot of Grand Blues and Pale Moons performing excellently at the Bushiroad Springfest circuit, but now we get to see how, well, how Grand Blue is still holding up in the current meta, and how Nightmare Dolls have been adjusting after losing their part of their G-Zone, of course. And, the big thing is that this is one of the only Nightmare Doll players that has topped in any of the regions, so I think for the viewers at home as well, this is not a match you want to miss, because a lot of people at home are asking, like, why is Nightmare Doll not topping? We had a pretty well-known player, Mr. Derek Dow, come out and even go as far as, tweeting that, the deck isn't hot anymore. It's something of the past. It lost part of its G-Zone, and the meta has changed, and it's no longer Pale Moon time, no longer Nightmare Doll time. But alas, is that really so? Let's see if Darren Carney can change our minds on that.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of decks have also gotten a bit stronger as well, which just kind of brings it to a similar level to Pale Moon. So things aren't exactly as clear cut as you would think, and also just the Pale Moon in general. All right, the first time the Nightmare Doll deck came out was kind of a surprise for a lot of people, right? They weren't really prepared, but when you have probably around 6 months to prepare for the deck, it's a well-known deck now. People have switched on against it, right? They're much more careful. They know maybe some of the weaknesses, and they just know they have to be hyper careful when playing against it, or otherwise they might be walking into a big L. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It is definitely a deck you have to know the matchup. That goes for the entire format as a whole. There's some decks where counterplay will make or break how you fare in that matchup, and of course, if you don't take care of the right precautionary steps, you're in for a world of hurt, especially when it comes to decks like, Mega Colony, where knowing how to play under Gridora will make or break your success in that specific matchup too.
And both plays, well, Darren's first turn, just playing one card down, turning it sideways, no trigger, so just 1 damage going in for Lux.
Interestingly, not denying the turn 2 Columbard, which of course is the strongest play that Grand Blue has going into turn 2, and we see that Lux does secure the Columbard for the turn 2 ride-up. It will be able to use a skill to count +1 and mill anything from the deck to the drop zone, and then, of course, choose anything in drop zone and call it, which will be the thing that is milled out right now. It's going to be the Honolly, actually. which is pretty smart because you can bring it out immediately, and while Honley normally asks you to pay a counterblast, or to turn a card in your damage zone face down, it doesn't say counterblast on the card itself, you basically get to forego that because it is not actually a cost in that sense, it is an effect, and you do as much of the effect as possible, and it's like, well, you can't turn it face down, well, that's not going to stop it from being called down.
Yep, and already setting up that... it gets a bit rough. I want to see how Darren is able to deal with the Honolly. Because this is one of the things you have to do as a Pale Moon player, is know how to deal with the Honolly, just know how to play under it, know how to play around it, and play with it. Everything to do with it. Honolly does present... It's like a speed bump, You have to know how to navigate over it or around it, maybe even under it, but you have to deal with it in a way. And if it's not in the front row, if you can't attack into it, then you have to live with it.
Exactly. So you can see here the ride up on Darren's side, and does have the 1 CP to work with.
Does he only get 1, or does he get... Ooh, it looks like it's gonna be a 2.
Still searching his, just checking that top 5. Oh, and it's Alice and Leslie coming out as well. So those are the
Whenever you get 2, you feel excellent. You're like, yes.
Absolutely. So just be able to get the full effects off of the ability is just, it is just the most comforting thing as also. But yeah, Marissa being able to actually fetch out 2 Volcoroids over there, non-greed 2s of course, and of course the 2 most ideal ones is definitely Alice and Leslie, the 2 of the 3 key cards in the Nightmare Doll build.
This card is so free, it's still crazy, right? It's such a powerful searcher while setting up your soul on the way to searching. It is a card to be reckoned with, and looks like Darren's going to use it again, putting the Alice there into the soul.
Yep. Getting ready for the unlimited.
He gets a 1. Gets a 1 this time, but he's going very aggressive. He knows that because of Honolly, he's not going to get as many attacks later on. So in a way, you can go now. You can just be slightly more aggressive. Try to poke out a few more cards / damage earlier on, and then later on you don't need to rely on your multi attacks as much until you decide to dust them.
Absolutely.
Darren thinking of playing another card?
He is. So setting up Ginny and bringing out Alice over there as well.
Wow,
so
already on turn 2.
Yeah, on turn 2, he's already got all the pieces set in place already for going in. So if he has a way, I don't believe from my deck check earlier that he doesn't have any ways in which that he could actually remove the Honolly. So he does have to count his counterblasts over here as well.
Plays the Leslie down as well. Has a nice column to get over a heal guard / a trigger. Just wants to make it more annoying for Lux to guard some of these attacks.
Yeah. You will have to as well, especially since damage mitigation is quite vital here for Lux's side as well. Because anytime that he's sitting on 5, there's just no breathing space for him to take damage in that sense as well.
Yeah, I like this play from Darren, being very very confident. And just kind of knows it's the Honolly there. Let's just go, right? Let's not play any more games. Gets a check here, nothing, just a Ginny. 1 damage goes in for Lux.
Ooh, the break ride is gone. That is one of the 1-ups that raises the power ceiling of this deck quite tremendously. And gone with the wind.
Cutlass is gone as well.
3 damage gone straight onto Lux's side. So yeah, that Dancing Cutlass just means that he won't be able to get off binds for counter charge as much. But
Darren sees a chance. No triggers come out. It's just time to go. And there we go.
Get the 4th attack in before the Honolly effect starts floating. If you can start pushing early, it is definitely a good thing. Especially seeing the Night Mist go into the damage. Until that thing gets healed out, you're basically safe to, even potentially give them 4. Because you know that it's not going to be popping off as hard. But again, with every counterblast you give to Grand Blue, that is an additional multi-attack you're going to have to deal with as a result.
Yeah, but this is only the... Darren is happy because if things if Lux just rides up, which he did, he's gonna be able to get the first stride, which means Dark Lord Princess time, and that is just more multi attacks, and yeah. So Lux already at 3 damage, able to sneak out. That should have been a Sentinel as well, 30k shield out from Lux. So things are looking quite okay for Darren. I think the only thing he probably is maybe scared of is getting damage denied, because he has 2 juicy targets for Lux to attack into. But at the same time, when you've gotten so much value from those attacks, you've already pushed your opponent up to 3. Your opponent's hand is not looking that amazing anyway. I think could be quite worth it.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, at this point, you know that you're restricting their plays quite a bit thanks to the Honolly, and it's all about just how you, as the Grand Blue player, can navigate the seas and, not give them too much of an advantage. Oh, that heal's big.
Trigger. Yep.
Oh, healing out the Cutlass, actually, not. Which makes sense, it is a counterblasted damage and it will be functioning as a countercharge later. The Night Mist is a bonus, right, in a way. It's not the make or break, the most important card in the deck. It is just a bonus there, but Dancing Cutlass will help to navigate the roughest situations where you are finding yourself damage denied or choked for counterblast.
Yeah, and Lux, a decision here, probably thinking, where are my attacks going into? This one, Pro Vanguard, yep. Just takes it, gets the draw off. Hand looking slightly better. That heal was absolutely big. It just means that Lux can start no-guarding a couple of these next attacks, which is a huge plus. And then just wondering, should I attack? Well, you definitely should attack the Columbard, but it's just where does it go?
Yeah, if he wants to damage deny Darren, then he would definitely go after the Regard Marissa. So, but regardless, there was a guard off from there, and it ends the turn for Lux right now. So the counterblast on Darren, his Lux is just making sure that Honolly gets its maximum value from there, and he's helping he's helping that strategy out by by denying the damage given onto his side, because the more counterblast he has, the more that he has to work with. Even with Honolly in play, you want to mitigate it as much as possible.
Yeah, I just think that Darren doesn't really care about the Honolly. He's so used to playing under it that he's just gonna do what he wants to do, right? Play the game. At some point, the dust is gonna come out and just kind of go for the finisher. So you can kind of feel like Darren just knows. Just knows it's a thing that's been happening. Honolly's been teched into a lot of decks to kind of control the Nightmare Doll multi attacks, and you just gotten used to it.
Agreed on that. So we're waiting on the cut right now, and just seeing what would Darren's next move be. Would he stride in? What do you guys think? Would it make sense for him to stride right now, or would he just try and go for the V strategy over here?
There is never a time where you wouldn't stride, because
there is no V strategy for this deck right now. This is all about just going into Dark Lord, Yvette, and
that's right.
Making the most of your plays while you're under Honolly. And it's honestly not even with the Honolly present, you can still do a lot on this turn, because again, we've said this yesterday, we say it again today. It is very important to know how to play out the Nightmare Doll turn while under Honolly.
Yeah, and I mean, Darren looks like planning out the turn, taking a bit, but you definitely should be the princess. There it is, the stride fodder coming.
Yeah, that's
Here it comes.
And the nice thing about Dark Princess too is that it is it's cost free. At the end of the battle that it attacks, then it just flips a G unit face up, then swaps itself out with a G unit with the same power and the Magia ability as well. So Yvette would be the most ideal target here. Well, it's the only target in his deck, and so for that. So, but nevertheless, it generates the Exile Circle as well, allows him to draw, and also makes sure that he can fulfill the full 4 attacks, maybe 5 if he's willing to commit the counterblast. But we'll see.
I mean, when you think about Dark Lord Princess, how insane it is. One, it gets its own attack. Then you attack again with the Vanguard, but then she gets called out on the rearguard circle as well. So it's like, from her, you get like 3 attacks.
Yeah.
It's like insane value.
It is an insane value. So you can have nothing on the board, but still be able to generate those 3 attacks. So just at minimum.
And like you've mentioned, it's all free. No counterblast required. It's just cards come out, cards get stood, and it's just multiple attacks.
And to detract from the game a little bit for a second, I just had a look at Twitter, and we had Musrax tweet, "I overslept for AO top 8 due to being mentally totally exhausted." No. Yep, that is one of the important things. If you're running the gauntlet, if you're trying to play in all the regions, #1 priority is if you do make top 8, prioritize that top 8. Because as impressive as it is, to run through and get multiple, top 8 finishes, if you can't be up for the top 8, it doesn't, it really does feel... I don't think there's anything saltier than that. I think even your opponent, like, quadruple 6 damage healing on you doesn't evoke the same level of salt that you feel than, just not waking up on time for top 8.
Yeah, I mean, we had some wild things happen in this region on day 1 as well. So, to see... I do not appreciate it too much that stuff like this is happening, but at the same time also, what can you do? That's how the cookie crumbles, right, guys?
Yeah, and Marissa is swinging in now. The attacks have started, and let's see how this develops. The Dark Lord Princess goes on the attack.
Yeah, so he's already attacked with the Marissa in the damage zone because, of course, if he's going to go straight into Yvette, then Yvette is going to... Alright, hang on. Draw trigger, so plus power to Leslie. So that restand is gonna have a lot more power. Double draw trigger, so 2 PGs in hand, but more hand size as well. My goodness, guys.
Yeah, the extra power in drawing that Leslie is quite good.
Yeah.
But we got the swaps now.
Alright, first attack down, or rather it was the second one. So now we can get the third to generate the Axel. You can also just swing with 2 rears at this point. So as you can see, like, the board is built very carefully, where this will be the 3rd swing, and then you can attack with the other rear for the 4th swing if necessary, and then after that you can attack with the Vanguard, because the Honolulu only affects rear guards with its forced counterblast ability. But we might also see that Darren just chooses to swing Vanguard here first, because I think the rear doesn't even hit anyway. And the Yvette is going to push something out onto the Axel circle, and then, power it up, and of course, also make it possible for it to swing from that Axel circle, which then Honolulu will affect that card, but as we see, there's still a face-up counterblast on Darren's side. They can commit that 1 CB in order to make that attack happen.
The XL2. I wonder what he's going to call out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the Leslie because he's just a target, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but Alice will definitely be able to return back to Soul, meaning that Leslie can come back, and Alice can actually swap back with Ginny and then just kind of go off from there. Although, considering that this is actually the 5th attack, right, guys? This should be the 5th attack.
This is the 4th, I think. The next one will be the 5th.
Next one will be the 5th. So the next one being the 5th. So the Honolulu being in place will limit Darren's remaining attacks from here. And yeah, we just got to see
so
what
42.
What's
critical
coming out?
There's -1 drive from Dark Lord Princess's ability, but yeah, crit comes out, goes on to Alice.
Yeah, it was for a lethal swing potentially, so the CB1 will be easily paid here for Honolulu's effect. No worries there.
It's like a 42, is it?
Yes, there should be 42 right now, because it's plus 15, plus 5, plus 10, so we get to 42. Asking for, you got any crit sentinels left there, buddy?
Even one's not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably need to use the protect, I think.
Yes, looks like they are going to cash in the protect here.
Yeah.
Discarding the Greed Shade.
And here's the issue. I think this is going to be Lux's last turn, unless Lux gets a lot of heals. This should be the counter charge as well, yeah. But next turn, we're probably looking at a dust to just close out this game.
Yeah.
He
I
can.
think they just need to G-guard once, and we are in the dust range, if I'm not mistaken.
No, actually, he should already be in dust range, I think.
Oh, you're right, yeah, there's Dark Lord,
they're in
and
dust
there's a
range.
flip from Yvette, yeah, that's right. We're already in
Yep.
dust range.
Correct.
Otherwise known as the dust zone. Alright?
Dust zone.
You guys
Oh,
ready?
yeah. The dust zone, we have dust in standard as well now.
Yeah.
Soon. Soon.
Yeah, well,
Soon
for you,
yeah.
not for me.
Not for me either. Not for me either. Not for me
Wow.
either. Too,
You guys.
Well, man, imagine being an AO and not having dust in standard.
Alright, Lux's turn. Are we gonna see some bad bounty? I'm wondering. Is this
Yeah.
the turn?
yeah.
It probably has to be. I mean, you have 4 CB open. That means you can basically bad bounty either into Nitros and then make more attacks, or you can actually go back into the Beatrice and then abuse Beatrice's effect to
Oh,
keep
no.
reviving stuff. Oh,
Obadiah.
setup stride now?
He's so behind then, because again, I guess his drop zone just isn't set up well enough. Only
Yeah, the
10
card quality in the drop zone is definitely not the highest, but wow. To still need to go
Wow.
into the Big Obadiah at this moment is pretty huge.
Yeah.
The plus
indeed,
side
so-
here is that he can compress his deck by a lot. So maybe next turn, if he's up against the dust, he can get something like a heal, over trigger, something like that to kind of save him a bit. Because
Mhm.
Big Obadiah does compress very hard. That's the biggest plus from this this ghost, right?
Yep.
And yeah, it's, at least you can get some multi attacks as well going, right? But it just feels like it's just such a setup turn.
Yeah, it is such a huge setup turn as well. So just putting another 5 cards into the drop zone. He can compress the deck like you guys mentioned as well. But considering his hand size right now as well, it's looking a little short, to say the least. So it's kind of like, can he really, push forward with this? So it might be difficult for Lux, and you guys mentioned earlier that it might be his last turn considering he's sitting at 4 and it's up against Nightmare Dolls here. So this is a tough one, guys.
The cool thing is that he G-guarded the previous turn, so he gets to call a bunch of cards versus just a small amount. So it's not as bad as like a first stride Obadiah. Basically just builds an entire board for free.
That is correct, but again, I've spoken to some players and they kind of say like when playing against Grand Blue, and like the moment they go into the Big Obadiah, they just kind of feel a sigh of relief. It's like, oh, okay, I don't have to deal with 11 attacks this turn, and it's just gonna be that sort of setup that it's like, yes, you do want to do it on first stride, but first striding when you're on 4 damage just feels like a little bit too far behind, and definitely gonna need to farm into some very good cards to survive the Nightmare Doll turn here, or by deck thinning with Big Obadiah, potentially also just be able to hit those heals and potential overtrigger a bit more reliably by pushing out as many normal units out of the deck as possible here.
I mean, deck thinning is deck winning, but
Right.
Yeah, that thing is deck winning indeed as well.
he's going for the greed shade here as well, just to kind of salvage cards. Get some mill up. Ooh, you can get the
Oh,
Heal
I see the
Guardian
Skull
back.
Dragon. Yeah, he can get Hill Guardian back, but then he also got Skull Dragon in there as well. Ghost Ship is also on the field as well, so there's got to be a high power damage on that right side attack. And Grenache for the counter charge as well. So if Lux wants to get the recovery back on his Counter Blast, then yeah, he absolutely has that option by putting it hollow.
Okay, Nightstorm is played out, but just keep in mind that Honley is effective on both players' sides. It's basically a field-wide effect that will, be restricting both players in terms of what they can do with the counterblast they have. The Grenache being there is cool, but it's not necessarily going to be, saving the world at this point. So Nightstorm is a really good card that enables some of the craziest combos this deck is capable of, but it's just going to be a question of how far will Lux commit to it.
Yeah, and I mean, here's a scary bit. Darren technically can no guard this at 2. You're pretty comfortable. This is that scary situation where if 3 crits come out, you're just gonna feel really, really bad. And I mean, Lux did compress the deck, but sometimes compression is a lie.
Yep.
1 crit's out now.
Looks like it's not.
Yeah, but he needed the 3 for like the 1 shot right there. But this, even just 2 will push to 5, which is quite annoying.
Yes, it's still hard to deal with, especially if Lux decides to commit to the Night Mist, the Night Storm, and push out more power. Looks like just 1 crit is going to be found, and we're going to see going to 4 damage here on Darren's side. Both players at equal amounts of damage, which means both players will be in heal range from now on, depending on how far Lux decides to push here. Going to be attacking with the Ghost Ship unboosted, which does tell us that the Night Storm will be used. So currently we're in attack number 2. This is going to rear.
Ooh.
Okay, we see the draw from the Ghost Ship, and now that went into rear, which means that the Night Storm, by effect, it has to attack the Vanguard for its ability to proc. So I wonder if this will be a Vanguard swing in order to revive the Ghost Ship. That's kind of what I'm assuming. That's what Lux is trying to go for. It's like, I'm gonna swing, trade off your rears with Ghost Ship. I'm gonna then swing into Vanguard with a Night Storm, revive myself, the Ghost Ship again, and then swing into the other rear column, trying to trade away as much as possible. But I would also, if CB was not the issue, I would go as far as to get a Skeleton Cannoneer out and just getting rid of that Leslie in the back, because I think that is a very scary Leslie that you are leaving up while at 4 damage.
Yeah, Lux did dump a Skeleton Cannoneer, so it could be the play. Oh,
you can technically... Oh, passing, wow.
Passing, wow, okay.
Didn't even
so I was gonna
the rear guard?
Yeah, so, not even swinging at the rear. Just choosing to pass to not let them G-guard, but they're already at dust range, so I feel like that doesn't necessarily...
Yeah, I feel like maybe Lux didn't realize that the combo just straight up puts them there, like good to go. And I mean, Darren here, this is probably a perfect turn for the dust.
If they have the fodder in hand.
Yeah, if they have a copy of Alice in there. So I think earlier they were doing a check
or the
how
rewrite.
Many Alices came out. Yeah, or rewrite as well. So there was, I believe, it might be a check on either triggers, or more likely, I believe it might be on Alice, just to make sure. Lux just want to make sure that there's no opportunity for dust to actually come out here. So maybe that's why he decided not to go for the attack. Also to deny any sort of G Guardians face up, so that dust will be unable to come out from the ultimate strike. And we'll see whether that really pays off also in this next turn.
And I think Darren just looking. It's not hard for Pale Moon to get the same copy as well. Generally, you have a lot of ways to shuffle around and get the 3 that you want in your hand. So I think here it's either a dust or another princess.
Oh, looks like Darren is counting out the attacks, thinking about, alright, how much can I do? Let's keep in mind the Hunley's still chilling in there.
Darren
should clear off the board.
Darren should know that as well. The Lux salvaged a heal back to hand as well. So the dust also shuts off that entire G Guardian play, which was pretty good. Otherwise I'll have to deal with it. There are cards on the field, so the Cannoneer, retire play is still possible. But generally speaking, like when you're up against the Honolly in these situations, and possibly an ultimate stride. Possibly ultimate stride. When you're up against the Honolly, the end game is just straight up to dust your opponent. Honolly gets shut down, and then you just pop off from there. Knows that Darren should know that Lux doesn't have much cards in hand, and a lot of the ways that no damage check, that is big. But yes, one of the ways that the Grand Boo player can kind of stay alive with low hand is just by looping the G Guardians, but Dust says no to that as well.
Well, there we go. Dusto is in play at long last. And we're going to see how the turn is going to be navigated by Darren. I think that's one of the first Dusts we've seen on stream, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the first Zero Dragon that we've seen on stream.
It's been a while. One thing that Dusts, when you Dust, you don't really have to worry about the insane amount of multi-attacks that Nightmare Dolls can do. Because your opponent's at 1 and you just do enough attacks, your opponent doesn't have the resources or the tools to be able to defend against already. So you don't have to really worry about how much CB do I have, can I do like 200 attacks or not. Just the regular amount is usually enough, or just like slightly more is generally enough, because a lot of players underestimate the power loss that you get when Dust comes out. Yes,
exactly.
And that can generally spell defeat, especially when you get no damage check like Lux. It's pretty sad, unfortunately, because then this one power that Beatrice is on right now is just painful to guard.
Exactly.
Yeah, looks like Darren is looking to seal the deal right now, willing to put out his draw PG just to boost for Dust so and get that to 29. Just pushing over the magic number in this sense. So yeah.
Here's the one thing though, is attacking. Darren needs to count his attacks and how much it takes to guard properly, because one of the best ways to lose on Dust is by attacking with Dust like right here. Because if your opponent can just get that 6 damage over trigger, I don't think it's out, right?
No, nah.
Because if it isn't, you have to account for that, and if your opponent like gets a 6 damage over trigger, your Vanguard swing is basically your last chance to trigger your own over trigger to win. But let's say if the overtrigger comes out like here, and well, if your opponent gets a 6 damage heal at some point and you don't have a way to get around that, then it's a bit rough. Then, because your opponent will then know which one to like perfect guard, which one has the 100 million, etc., kind of thing.
Exactly, and this is again the most important battle for this tournament right now. This is to make sure who makes it to the top 4, who gets to fight for prizes, and who has to just sit down and say, well, I made top 8, but sadly my road ended there. Darren swinging with the Dust, trying to push through. The power decreased, and we can see Lux mapping out the hand. How many attacks can I deal with? Gonna be using the perfect guard here. Darren's drive check, a blank, followed by crit.
So the crit,
so
nothing really restands, unfortunately. And then the third check,
another blank.
Another
but that is fine. We don't need triggers where we're going. We're just here to seal the deal and win the game.
Alright.
Can Lux handle this aggression? There are still many more attacks to deal with before Lux can relax.
If Lux wanted to take one, it has to be one of these attacks. Basically, the one without the crit. And probably, if you want to take one, it's like here. But if Lux is guarding, then it feels like Lux has the chance. Feels like they can take it. This one probably has the crit, because the one that just attacked probably had the crit, because that got a lot of shielding out.
Yep. So yeah, I believe this one should be.
Looks like they're taking it. Is there a heal trigger? There is not. Darren Carney takes it in the top 8 match to determine their spot in the top 4 and continue running the tournament with Nightmare Dolls. Excellently done. But of course, shoutouts to Lux for making it to the top 8 and taking Grand Blue all this way. But unfortunately, the road is going to end there for them. Wasn't able to close it out last turn. Wasn't able to take it just one step further. But if you're Darren Carney or one of Darren Carney's fans, you're going to be relieved as they have made it to the top 4. What a beautiful match that was, honestly.
It was a beautiful match. So, with both players just trying to outplay each other, especially with the Honolly down in play as well to deny Nightmare Dolls, but also trying to skirt around everything that they're trying to do with each other with damage mitigation, with counting out the number of attacks as well as what the potential next turn will be. Like, this was a really epic match.
Yeah, if you want to see a match how Nightmare Dolls plays around Honolly, that is one of the matches just to watch. It's just how to how to deal with the Honolulu, how to play around it, how to play your own game, how to properly play against it, and just overall at the end, it's just a perfect example of on that kind of a crash course, right, on the Nightmare Doll versus any Honolulu type matchup. So very, very good to see.
Absolutely. Very beautifully done. Very well played. I think there was a really good attempt from Lux's side to, put a stop to the aggression, but unfortunately it simply was not enough. And honestly, that was great. I do wonder how the rest of the top 8 matches went and whether we'll have our top 4 decided soon or not, because with that, we do have, one of our contestants locked in. But I'm also curious to see, how things are going to proceed for the rest of this Top Cut bracket. Who else made it past the top 8? It's really, especially for some of the players in the time zones that, aren't in AO, playing in top 8 it's rough, whether it's waking up at 3 a.m. or whether it's, being up for way past your stamina levels if you've been playing in NA or EU. That is also something that can definitely be sort of, prohibit your limits, let's say, in how far you can really take yourself in the top 8 as well.
I mean, the worst enemy is basically yourself, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And one thing we noticed during EU as well, when I was watching the stream before going to bed last night, is you could see some of the players that were playing in AO that were then playing in EU, and some of their plays were deteriorating, but that's purely because, they're starting to break past their own human limits in order to play in these events at times. And, that's just, some people, they want to get as many tops, amass as many medals, walk out of, BRO with, just holding a bunch of medals, to their names, but you need to have some crazy stamina to be able to do that. Some people just choose to play in their home region and just run it down with, their most comfortable place, most comfortable time. And that is just what they prefer to do. But honestly, an incredible showing, that a great way to kick off the top 8 here for the AO region. And I think with that, we will take a short break before we go to the top 4. Also give the players a chance to, get a breather. Everyone had very intense fights to make it to the top 4, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon for the top 4, and this is where things get even more intense, because now it's make or break, the battle for who goes to finals and for who has to fight for that 3rd place to even have a chance for a prize card. We'll be back very soon.
Cardfight Vanguard.
Welcome back, dear viewers, to BRO 2022. We just wrapped up our top 8 round, and we're getting ready to get into the action of top 4. And this is where, gentlemen, we start to decide who goes home with prizes, or who has to fight for that 3rd place to have a chance to have a prize. Well, everyone gets a certificate, but to have that prize card specifically, right?
Yep. I mean, prize cards look nice, and there we go. We have the. If you were at the top of the bracket, you've basically been winning.
That's right.
Man, what a pattern right there. But we get to see Notorious Set moving forward in the semifinals. She's gonna be taking on Darren Carney, who we just saw in the last game. And Spy Brothers, Yusei is actually making it through to the semifinals and going up against WCC Suo. So Darren is actually, it will be the Highlander deck moving forward from there. So.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would want to know how Notorious Set was able to beat Peter, because that's technically a more favorable matchup for Peter, but somehow was able to make it work. But now we have that we had the Yusei Spike Brothers versus Highlander, the new Highlander. Pretty interesting to how that will turn out, because I think both decks are relatively quite aggressive. In fact, I think a lot of these decks are all pretty aggressive. Like NLK will just want to go. We get to see Sura versus Yusei here, so we get to see the other side of the bracket and how they're going.
Guys, wish fulfillment here, right here. We finally get to see the Spike Brothers deck in action. So something we've had a hard time actually doing yesterday.
That's right. And now, of course, in the chat, please let us know who you are rooting for. Get that support down. I don't know if there's any mods that can run some hype predictions or polls. But make your voice known who you want to see in the finals between Yusei and Suo. Yusei is actually a member of my Discord, and I popped into my Discord during the break, and there was something that Yusei said that definitely resonated with me, saying that this Spike Brothers, this Spikes deck was not built just to be put on for display, and boy oh boy, they're here to make it known against Suo, someone that is in the top cut for multiple regions. Let's see how it's gonna go.
Suo opening with a Lieslot, that's really good.
And a Pearl Sister on top.
Oh no, that's
no.
it feels like things looking pretty good. Suo will also get the first stride as well. Well, on track to get the first stride. I don't think Yusei wants to really fight for it.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Hang on, guys. Let me catch my breath a bit. So
both of these decks really just ride up and do their thing. But in a way, if Suo doesn't get like his first Riviere turn, he doesn't have as many force markers, but at the same time, he will get the force markers eventually. I think striding is pretty good, so yeah, we'll be able to get back the should be able to get back the draw as well.
Indeed, so he should be able to get back the draw trigger. So which means that he'll have a PG in hand, going into his future turns from there. So it is so for Boomerang Triangle especially. So it's just more comfortable to see cards out instead of them being hidden in a way, especially on the field, because you can actually just fetch them back into your hand. So especially if there's a card that you really need.
Yeah, exactly. So see, you say here, going through the usual maneuvers that we've seen time and time again throughout the Swiss bracket. Of course, Dudley Davy is a very powerful card in being able to just force out, search yourself the Dudley Lucifer, which can then countercharge, and then you can use the counterblast for many other things. And we have the Breach Spurt here, attacking, and when it swings at the Vanguard, you can put a normal unit from your drop to the bottom of your deck, and then basically forcing out intercepts, and then tucking itself into the soul to draw a card. So, of course, that's not going to be happening here, but you do get to convert it into a soul and a draw, which is a pretty good effect on top of everything. Ooh, heal defensive, getting checked there.
But I think the Vanguard can still hit over the one heal.
Yep.
So that's a good start in a way. If you're.
That is the agile fullback in the back row there. So it actually it can attack from the back row, but it cannot boost. So this is going to be a non-hitting swing. So now both players are going to be at 1-1, and the agile fullback I think was called from hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was called from hand. Yeah, he was.
So yes, it can only attack from back row. They can attack from back row regardless, but it only gets the plus 10k if it's called by an effect.
Ooh, so that's a pretty big shutdown turn then, right?
Yeah, that defensive heal was actually the one thing that really slowed down. Somehow it slowed down the Spike Brothers deck so in there. But such is the way of Vanguard as well.
Yeah, and I mean, how does Steven do it? He gets the Klacina, and that's basically, again, the best ride that you want to ride into at Grade 2. And just the amount of value is really, really good. The Shizuku as well gets the counter charge. I mean, Shiratsuyu gets the counter charge. Oh, these one-ups. Very, 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 very combo-y. Very combo-y. Moves up the Lieslot as well. Next turn, if Steven reveals the Courtier, life's good. Life is very good.
Life will be really, really good. So if he checks out the Courtier as well.
Oh, it's calling down the Aqua, getting that Lieslot value.
Oh, that's big.
And draw as well. Very, very big in there. So with Aqua's
discarding the quick shield.
Bounce.
We don't need those where we're going.
That's right. And is that Lieslot going to come down again?
Yes, she is.
It is.
Let's get that top deck into another attacker. Let's go, Speaker.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Speaker. Sorry, Speaker.
So next turn, the Speaker is going to be able to be bounced back to hand if it goes into the stride.
The
10k going in. Heal Trigger would... A Heal Guardian would be nice here, but the last stun comes
Gonna
out.
take it. Well, there is a heal in one way or another.
There, so
The Casino, 15k going in. Is Yusei gonna take a bit of a risk here? In regards to this one, takes the risk. Nothing comes out, and this should go into the rear guard. Is it 15k?
Yes, trying to take out that Lucifer, and looks like Yusei is fine with that. Of course, this deck is capable of recycling units from the drop zone pretty easily. So, if anything, this is a way to put it back into the deck and call it back out for another counter charge. We're gonna ride up into the Rising. Rising Nova, of course, the key cornerstone of this deck. And quite literally defining the entire playstyle.
And Yusei riding up is basically is a cool thing on Suo's play, right? Is that he moved the Shiratsuyu to the back one because Aqua has just 15k, right? Which is cool. But he's saving that Shiratsuyu to be able to counter charge next turn if his opponent decides to like damage deny him or something like that. So he has that kind of, how do you say, the fallback where you know, if he gets damage denied, then he still gets to play. If he doesn't, then that's fine. You know, it's just a card. He can move it up and still attack with it, and all is good, right? So I like how he just has that kind of fallback play, and just to make sure that his opponent doesn't have options.
Exactly. So we're gonna see here, the Rising Nova, of course, got us the dual marker, and then we saw the use of the fullback in order to put itself into the soul and then search for another copy and call it back to the back row. And then, of course, now because it was called by an effect, it will be gaining the plus 10k on top of the back row attack, which, of course, is very important. And we can see the use once more of, you know, Lucifer being chucked into the soul. We saw this in the Swiss as well. It's such a... Again, I just like seeing Spikes being played because of how clean everything looks. So, you use Ambush Dexter, you call out 2 grade 3s, which sets up for your Rising Nova to start copying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So blast 1, I believe this is what's going off. Oh no, he's just clarifying Dudley Lucifer's skill as well. Still needs to do his shuffle, but with the with his rear guards right now, the grade 3's in there, so Rising Nova can actually get a lot of stuff going out. So Ambush Dexter really showing its value once again here. We did see a little bit of it in the Swiss rounds, as you mentioned. I'm just seeing it even more so here as well.
Yeah, getting the Force 3 from the Rising Nova and able to kind of bounce it around like a football. Very, very flavorful. But I think one of the things you have to realize is that, you know, Suo being on grade 2 is pretty good, because then he can start heal guarding and stopping things, which is can slow down the game quite a lot. Though I do imagine that he's going to just want to take one attack, get 2 more damage to play with next turn, before he can, you know, continue just doing the Helltrotter plays that he wants to do. So probably Yusei will at least get like 1 attack in, I think. But further from that, I think he might not. But he's also on 1, so he's still quite happy, you know, just playing. Just, you know, 1 damage is good, right? You can pretty much survive a lot of things, and then after that, get into his stride turn.
Yeah, one thing that although it might not be in play, one thing that we do forget about the Heal Guardians is that it can also reduce a unit's critical to -2 as well. So it could be an easy way for him to deal with this coming attack right here. But of course he chooses the plus 10k because it is the first attack that's coming with double critical, so it's better to have the defense in that sense. But you know, if this was like the last attack, he could use that Heal Guardian, take the few damage that he can from single damage attacks, and then use the Heal Guardian to actually remove the 2 critical threat over there. So just really able to kind of defend off, you know, against the high attacks here. So it's going to be very comfortable at this stage.
Alright, then we have the Bull Spike effect here coming into play, which was of course copied by the Rising Nova, which every time something attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 to move all the force markers to that circle, which is very powerful, and now giving the extra critical here to the Rising Nova with the 23k swing. And so of course, we are on a 20k base for Suo, but how will they guard against the Vanguard swing, which of course does come with a lot more pressure in hand. And we're going to be using the Dudley Lucifer's part of the effect here as well, because again, we have both effects copied from the side of Yusei. So Dudley Lucifer isn't just a counter charger, it also has a Vanguard Circle ability to count +1, put a rear guard into soul, draw a card, and then call it Dudley from hand. Will not be getting the plus 10k though.
You have to be careful though, because you know when you're calling cards from hand, right? This means your hand is much more easier to steamroll. So you gotta have a nice balancing act with Spike Brothers there. That's what that's the skill behind it. You know, you can get very aggressive, but at the same time, if you go too aggressive, you have zero defense and you might just lose. Wait, this
heal trigger going down to 0 damage here for Yusei.
Welcome to the top 8s, everybody. Welcome to the top 8s.
Alright, another defensive for Suo. So this will put them to 30k power, which makes the rest of the field no longer hit. But, you know, with 2 damage in, and this not hitting, it's not really a big problem. You can just swing with the Bull Spike into the rear, or from the back row, you can also swing in 2 with the fullback. And actually
this
giving
one
it
is
the
like,
markers too. This is 30k, this barely hits.
Yeah, this barely hits as well, but of course the intersect coming into play from this rod. And
You say
wait, all of these barely hit. This also is 33 because it got the power from the trigger. So just being able to move around the force markers here is actually forcing out Precious Shield from Suo's hand.
Oh my goodness, what a high level play. So.
Every time Yusei does that, he has to use a soul. So soul-wise is getting low, but again, Spikes does have a way to generate soul. It just comes down to that nice balance of resources in soul and hand that he just has to be careful of. But you know, when you're on 0 damage, you can be quite liberal with just using a lot of your resources because you have that buffer of, you know, you're not dying anytime soon to save you.
Yep.
Exactly.
And Reindeer coming down as the Vanguard right here. And looks like looks like Steven might be preparing to go into Hell Street. Hell Street.
Yeah, and just deciding the force marker placement. It should be on Vanguard. It should be a force 1.
Most likely.
Most likely it should be a false 1 as well. So as you guys know, as we've seen on yesterday as well, Reindeer does have the ability to restand itself. It has the ability to reveal the top cards, and then you actually write a card from there as stand on the Vanguard circle. And then after that, it does get -1 drive, but it's still a Vanguard attack with drive checks coming in. So it should be the linchpin here. Yeah.
Put the force marker on the Vanguard. Basically, how people describe Heltrotta is that she's Dragonic Overlord, except with a lot of hand. Is the entire idea. With striding into Heltrotta here, Suo is going to get the first Vanguard attack, it's going to get the Reindeer attack, and the Reindeer is going to restand into something else. So lots of attacks on the Vanguard line, and should be discarding a Courtier though.
Oh,
that's pretty huge. I don't know, man. I hear people describing Heltrotta as a next stage more often than I hear her being described as an Overlord, buddy.
yeah. They do a lot of restands, but next stage only does it, you know, once, right? Overlord cross does around 3 times.
Yep.
That is true. That is true.
Big difference. Big difference, yeah?
Big difference. Semantics. Alright.
So
getting into it, Heltrotta is now on the Vanguard circle. I'm gonna see the soul charge come out here, and then it's gonna be all about. Alright, well, there's a reason why the Courtier was discarded.
Yeah, there we go.
There's gonna be a lot of value this turn. I can guarantee that. What will Steven call, I wonder? Is the real question. And basically, I think what he usually searches for Courtier is very low quality cards, so that he just discards them. So he just makes sure, is things like your Prumo out that you normally don't really care about? Is that out? It doesn't work in the matchup. And just get rid of them, and then later on you can trigger some good cards.
Yep.
And there we go. Like a Shizuku. You know, who really do we need that Shizuku now? That's
good question.
That's a question, right? You can basically can just disappear. It can be discarded.
So Yeah, a little bit more deck thinning on Steven's side. But of course, he also is trying his best to make sure that he sets up for not just the Vanguard attacking multiple times, but also with Speaker in play as well, so he actually can get a bounce off and actually call out another card, so which could be Couturier as well, just to add a lot more cards in his hand.
So I'm thinking the 10k is going on the Speaker, so you can do something like a Coutier, and then your Speaker is then like 22, and then you can bounce the Coutier again to get the call Coutier to get some more value.
Yep. That is the power of Spica, being able to just kind of reset anything with an auto-place effect. And then, of course, you can see Coutier here going to go back into play. And once again, being procced. You know, it is pretty crazy. We see, you know, machining cards that have a named once per turn for their, like, +3. Or, like, you know, plus, like, look at top 3 search effects and stuff like that. And then Coutier is here just like, no, just use it as much as you want. It's a buffet out here.
Yep.
Yes. A delicious buffet.
This is buffet of fish, seafood.
Yeah, and just a heads up, the Helltrotter will bounce the whole field back, so he gets even more value.
Yep.
Because you can call the Coutier again. Can also call basically anything that you bounced, like the just to get more power if you wanted to with the Recus, right? So pretty cool. First damage coming in on Yusei's side now.
No trigger on that part also. And that reset would be really good also, because it also bypasses the once per turn that Speaker has. So it's not just the Vanguard that we're going to be watching out for, you know, in terms of multiple attacks. So Yusei's got to be careful here.
So here we go. We're gonna get the big bounce.
The big old bounce. Discard 3 cards from his hand and return all his rearguards back to hand, including the draw PG as well. I should point out.
So the funny thing as well about the Helltrotter effect is that to bounce your whole field and call again doesn't require any cost. Only the restand part requires the cost.
Yep.
It's quite funny. But there it is. The Coutier comes out again. And what do we call? This is deck thinning again. Deck thinning is deck winning, except when it isn't.
We're seeing just Suo looking through everything, trying to find. Alright, there we go.
Pumo.
Yep.
Let's remind me, what was Pumo's role in this deck again? She's the grade 1 with the extra shield, right?
I believe so.
You can call something out.
Oh.
Aha!
So
When you
call,
guard with her, that is pretty huge.
Yeah.
So you can force out a Honolulu if necessary. Mid-battle, which is going to be pretty big in this matchup. Well, we see heal off the top. That is going to put Suo down to 2 damage. We're looking to be in for the long term here in this game.
Yep. And like I said, deck thinning is deck winning, except when it isn't. Would have expected a few more triggers then, but we've still got 3 more triggers left from the multiple Vanguard attacks that are happening. The Reindeer comes out now, and it can attack first. The Shiratsu kind of just chilling. I think it's just weak power. But this one's...
she's not really doing much in this situation, but that might change as we go through the battle. Oh, we see the crit check here.
No crit
deck
check.
That's the crit he was looking for. Alright, that's going to push Yusei to 4, but we might see some defensives come through. Nothing on the first check. We do see a stand. A small defensive.
Yes,
Small
weak
defensive.
stand. But here comes the Reindeer restand now. And I think if Suo gets a grade 3, he's gonna just put that on the Vanguard, and we get like a nice swing again, a nice Vanguard swing, threatening lethal, throwing away. Is that a Pearl Sister?
That's a Pearl Sister.
Yeah, it's supposed
No
to.
longer needs it.
Oh, that's a Lupina.
Oh, so we have Lupina in here. That is a target, and I think there's also the Tirua, or was that the Lupina as well?
There's one Lupina. I think he's eyeing that because if a Lupina comes out, the story might change because you can put the force marker on the Coutier and then restand the Coutier for the value.
That is true. Alright, Lupina is here, and on attack, we'll be able to reset whatever will get the force marker here, which will most likely be the Coutier with the 2 forces, or the 2 triggers on her.
Yep.
And this is a fat Coutier. It's 43.
I feel like you take this one,
I
and
think you
then
have to. Yeah.
you just try to
Yeah.
guard the last two.
Again,
Yeah.
I think Yusei does have a heal in his hand, so it should be guardable. If he gets like a trigger to stop the Lupita, that's pretty cool. But again, like Yusei was banking on his 1 damage / 0 damage, actually just guarding this one, going for a heal G Guardian.
Mhm.
And there we have the new. It should be the new G Guardian, right?
Yeah.
That is
I
correct.
believe that is the new G Guardian. Yep.
So this is Villainous Evita. So this will be able to recycle some cards from the drop, which is, again, very important. We said earlier, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I don't mind you retiring my rear guards. They can all get chucked back and get some extra shield from them. And then, as long as you return a grade 3 of one of those 3 cards you put back, you also get to draw a card, which is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of cards going back. And yeah, so here's a scary part is Suru's gonna attack with Vanguard. That will threaten lethal, so Yusei will likely have to guard it. But if a crit comes out, and it might, that's gonna threaten lethal on the other side as well. And that's gonna be a devastating blow to Yusei's hand, I think.
I think Usage just doesn't want to go to 5 yet. Like, knowing what they might
Yeah.
have to deal with next turn.
But
I do
I
understand.
feel like there is no next turn after this. Like Yusei's next turn is his last turn. He's gonna have to just win in that turn, or otherwise, it's gonna be very, very hard. So a PG, I think that's a PG.
Oh,
Yeah,
the crit comes
right
out! Oh, that's what we kind of warned against.
Lethal.
That is
Yep.
the 53k Coutier with the crit. And how is Yusei gonna stop this? A perfect guard would be pretty good. If
Yeah,
not,
most
gotta
likely
be
going to be
best thing,
PG
yeah.
here.
Yep.
but if no PG, that means a lot of hands are going from Yusei, and that means Suru's life is easier, because if you don't have cards to attack with, you don't have a lot of cards to attack with.
Yeah. Is another perfect guard right there, so
Alright.
he does manage to defend this off also, so he does get his next turn.
I think
Is
there's
that
like
only
3 cards left. Oh my god. Meanwhile,
Left.
Su, I think, is on like 13.
He's gonna get lots of value force markers coming. Wow, yeah, this is rough for Yusei.
Mhm.
Even if he triggers like an over trigger here, it doesn't. I don't think it can help him that much. It just-
Yeah, honestly, and that's crazy to say. Even the OT might not be enough to push through and survive here. But I'm gonna try to change the tides with Galligabalus. See what can be done.
Yeah, and I mean, no, like 3 cards for Spike Brothers. If this was like a GBA turn, then you'd be like, yeah, that's probably enough. But it's not. It's only a galley turn. Of course, you
Yep.
do have the Force 3, right? Just kind of chilling around, and that can kind of try and catch you up in terms of damage. But Suru at least has a couple of damage to play with himself. It's only on 2, so he can at least take one critted attack. And you say overall, like soul wise, I think he used a lot last turn, right?
Yes, Yusei did use a lot
Yep.
last turn.
And he needs a way to move that force through round.
Alright, well, gonna be calling out the Dudley Davy. Gonna use some of that CB because, of course, Gabalus not needing any Counterblast does open that up a little bit. Dudley Lucifer gonna come out. That's another Soul Blast for Countercharge. Looks like in terms of resources, Yusei is still fine to go.
Yeah. And I mean, if he can't move the force markers around though, it makes the damage mapping quite easier for Suru.
Yep.
You can decide what to take and what not to take.
That is correct. So now I'm gonna get the cut. Ooh, bit of a messy cut. I think nothing actually was flipped over. That was
Yep.
just the rear guard kind of sliding along,
Shifting. Yeah.
trying to intercept the tackle there from the deck.
And
Okay, we get a Soul Blast.
Counter
So
shot.
blast, they cannot charge.
So that is the grade 2 that went to Soul last turn, the fullback, or no, at the start of this turn during the main phase. And that is a little bit hard to make from the glare.
Is that Dudley Daisy? I think. Oh,
I think
no,
it's Gloria.
Yeah, it's Gloria.
Looks
yeah,
like Gloria.
Yep.
So she functions by boosting. So basically, when she boosts, at the end of the battle, you basically put the stuff in that column to the bottom of the deck and then draw a card. So generally speaking, if you're just trying to push out aggression, you don't really care about that as much. But also, I mean, Galley basically puts all of your attacking rearguards back to the deck anyway, so you can also make use of that to push a bit harder. But
So
we're going to start off with Lucifer.
Yeah, so Lucifer going in. Kind of interesting here. This it is definitely Yusei's last turn. His hand size is at 1 currently. Probably goes to like maybe 6 at the end of this
Potentially.
turn.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially.
Ooh, this might be the Honley call.
Yeah, this is a
This
perfect time to do
might
it too.
Be the Honley call. Not again.
And we saw
The Poom was searched last turn for this purpose in particular.
Mhm.
There it is.
That's the Honolly call. So.
And the value you get from the Honolly is so good with Helltrotter as well, because you just you do your attacks and then you bounce it, and then all is good, right? All is good.
All is good. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So the back row attack.
Oh, I do like the dice in the Honley. I never thought about that. That is a very smart way to denote the number of battles.
He takes this one because it's an easy damage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he can just take this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is still within comfortable range.
It's like a value damage, you know, because you only take 1. But maybe he's just thinking to save it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, even with the Honley being down, I feel like Yusei has excessive counterblast to use this turn to just kind of burst through that and push as many attacks as possible.
Yeah. Oh, this is ouch.
Ouch. Yeah, no
Extra
other way we
10K?
can describe it. So extra 10k issues from Citron. There we go.
Yeah, so Citron, of course, gets to call another card out during the opponent's turn. And one of the highlights of Lyrical Ministerio when it comes to Premium is, of course, the Ricius, who, when placed on rear, just gives the unit plus 10k. No conditions asked. Just have to call it. So now we're sitting with a 23k Vanguard. Effectively a defensive has been found for Suo. And again, this just shows how strong Highlander really is in this format. Gonna call Double Stand from the Galley effect, which, of course, after they attack, they chuck themselves to the deck because of their effect. And then by their effect, they reset one of your rear guards. And that allows you to, for example, use your back row to attack with.
Yeah, and a PG coming down on suicide, well, putting it back, but just I guess it's just double checking, making sure.
Yeah, making sure the cut happens first before we go into the deck checks.
Yeah. So the Honolly call, kind of important. Like, even though Yusei has a lot of CB to work with, I'm guessing on suicide is I don't exactly know like what this entire deck can do. So let me set this thing down.
Just to be safe.
Kind of, yeah, to be safe. And lock it
Ooh,
out.
triple blank is not
blank.
what you want to see.
Nah, not at this stage. Not at this stage.
And the PG there from Sue is correct. You know, you don't want to risk losing just to an overtrigger. You have a lot of hand. You're so far ahead. You have everything on lock. You just want to make sure you have the win. So very good call there. And we're on to like the 5th attack on the rear guards now. So there's going to be a bit of tax coming out. But what are these stand triggers kind of going to do here? Because they're not exactly... What can he get, right?
Well, he can get all the units in the back to actually come forward and do his attack, and because he's got a lot of counter buffs to play, so I think he can afford to pay the tax from Honolly there. So with it actually having the plus power too as well from Gabigalis. Oh no, sorry. Getting power as well. So you know, instead of having it go to the bottom of the deck, it does have charge too as well. So it will be forced to set to the bottom of the deck, but it can be bypassed using its own ability and just making sure that you can get another attack from the back row to the front, especially on the one that has that force 3 marker.
So he takes the 2. So I think what happens here is the the stand trick gets put back, and then he can bind one of his back row reguards and move it to the force
Yes,
3.
exactly.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the game plan here. But he does have, technically speaking, he does have a 2 attacks. Two attacks that can hit here. So, one coming up and then the other one coming up after the other stand trigger goes in. The Mecha Instructor.
And he's got some crazy ideas.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing about the Spike Brothers deck. So it's full of crazy ideas.
Alright, so we're going to be able to also recycle some on-place effects with the stand, but it looks like Yusei is still mulling over what exactly he wants to reset from this board. Of course, not that many options, but it's still valid. Of course, the Ambush Dexter does allow you to reset that, and then so we're gonna see it's gonna get recalled, and then the Ambush Dexter can actually come +1 and put the resting rearguard into the soul, and then call 2 grade 2s by the effect here, which will then push out more attacks. But again, now every attack has to be, you know, you have to pay counter +4. But I do believe that Galley is giving boost to everyone.
Yeah, Galley does give boost to
he already gave it, so we're past that point. We are past that point.
Correct. Yeah, but he can call out Agile fullback as well, just so they can have another attack in, you know, to either clear the sides or maybe even attack the Vanguard from there. But yeah, we can kind of really see the game plan here, all puns intended, from Yusei, in terms of what he's going to do for the rest of his turn.
I wonder if now the Davy gets called out. I'd like to imagine it's not going to be used.
Because, yeah, then he can't attack.
Yeah, so I'm assuming these attacks are going to be mostly swinging.
So this swings into Heal Guardian again.
Vanguard.
Oh, another G-Guard coming out.
Yep.
Alright,
believe
this time
this
it is
one
the
is
new girl
the
on the
U1.
block. This
Oriana.
is the Lucrece.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
My bad.
Just a bounces the Courtier, and then gives the Vanguard 5k. Pretty much just seals everything. He gets to use the Courtier next turn, gets to thin out that deck, and I think that would be kind of GG in a way.
Yeah, it feels like Suo just has a chokehold on this entire game plan. Like, it's like, here's a defensive, here's a Honolly, here's another 5k to my Vanguard. I don't even need defensive triggers.
Yep.
Let me just do it myself.
Yep. And that is the end of Yusei's big combo turn. But now Suo is back. It is his turn. Suo is going to go for the kill here. Unfortunately, on Yusei's side, I don't think there is much that can save him except for an overtrigger.
Yep.
And if that happens, I think he'd actually be in an okay position. But bear in mind, Suo's deck is now very compressed. And it's going to get even more compressed. He's going to just use the Courtier a couple of times to get rid of the last non-triggers in the deck. And then it will come a lot of pain.
Yes. And one important thing to notice about Yusei's turn there as well is that we didn't actually pick up on it when it happened, but I think on turn 2, Yusei damage checked Mikani, which is the only out that the deck has to Honolly. So if that card was still in rotation in the list itself, that could have been a way to, wait till Suo, to bait out Suo's Honolly, and then just go like, psych, call it out with one of your many abilities that call out non-grade 2s, and then take it out. Of course, it does commit a counterblast, but it's better to commit the 1 CB there for the Honolly than to commit up to 3 for the multiple attacks you want to do.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have forced as well, Suo, if he really wanted to keep the Honolly, to also use the Dismal. Because just bear in mind, these are open deck lists as well, so you can look at the opponent's deck list and go, ooh, what is that? What is that strange looking card that is at the first, that is the first card on his list, and double check it and go, okay, if I don't see that, I might have to do something about that. But if you see it in the damage zone, then you're pretty happy, right?
Exactly. Here we see the usual. Aqua gonna reset the Courtier. And the Coutier will once again get called out to search another card and deck thin, deck thin, deck thin. This is what makes Highlander this powerful. It is this one and only card. Coutier just putting the whole archetype on her back. Those shoulders must feel pretty tired after carrying Highlander this much.
Yeah, look at the. Well, I was thinking that if the card was actually at the bottom, he would be able to, just we will have an opportunity actually to be able to see how many triggers are left in the deck. You say 2 as well, so there's definitely gotta be a few more triggers. I think you saw a couple of triggers in those first 2 checks. So yeah, he's getting less and less crowded with non-triggers right now in Steven's deck.
Yeah, in a way, Stu also has a way to get around his opponent's OT, which is he can just attack with his other stuff first. And then if the OT is checked, then let's see if I get my own OT in the next 6 drive checks I do.
Touching wood.
Hopefully. If not, then unlucky, right?
Yeah.
That is true. It is still Vanguard and anything can happen in this beloved game of ours. We're going to see the damage check here. Nothing, a blank for the 5th damage.
No defensive triggers. That is
Only
not
one
helpful.
more left to pray for, and there's still many more attacks where that came from. And the hand of Yusei's is extremely low here.
This is going to... This is a 20? 20? Is it 25 maybe? Slightly higher?
Yeah. It's 35, I believe. So
Well, maybe
now
it's 30
trigger check.
because it gets 10k if something was returned back to hand.
Oh yeah,
so
something was returned this turn as well. So
it's actually
yeah,
very big.
very big. So but blocked off with a heal guard.
G Guardian comes out.
Yep.
2 cards in hand though. That's a...
Mm.
I think he might be forced to no guard the Vanguard, but then it opens up for crits to come out.
Exactly. This is quite stressful, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's he really you say needs a miracle. I think like multiple miracles. Like he's used a couple of G Guardians as well, so that means there's less heals that are available in the deck too. Which is very scary. I think it might be the end here.
Yeah.
Now
it might
that
be the
Helltrotter
end.
attacks, whole field is bounced. Discard 3, throwing away some cards. The Crook and the PG going away.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. So doesn't
Yeah,
need it
at this
stage,
point,
so-
we're trying to end the game here, not trying to survive another turn.
Yep.
Although, of course, if, I hate to be the one to say it. I hate to be the one to say it, but if we do see a 6 damage OT, then, this...
Oh,
There's
this
a
is so
certain
cool.
feeling.
So the combo here is like the jellyfish lady, Sister Car, puts
Yeah.
the perfect card on the bottom, and then Katia calls it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like, alright, let me quite literally recycle whatever I feel like.
And then
Yeah.
oh, there's the OT.
Wait.
Hold up.
Wait.
Oh,
Alright.
I think we forgot to shuffle there.
Yeah, he forgot to shuffle there.
OT jump scare out here in the top 4.
Yeah.
Not the OT jump scare in top 4. Alright. Gonna get
Alright.
shuffled. We're still gonna see the
One
crit, which is
critical.
arguably potentially worse here.
Worse, actually.
Yeah,
worse.
Yusei
worse
needs
here.
to see a heal, and we don't see it.
No, we
And the
don't see
7th
it.
damage isn't a heal either.
Aw.
And with that, Suo perfectly playing against Yusei's Spike Brothers game plan is gonna close it out and take themselves to the finals. Whereas Yusei will have to go back to the trading court for just a little bit
Yep.
and then fight for the 3rd place in order to win themselves one of the prize cards. Damn, what a game that was.
What?
Finally
a
got to see
game.
Spike Brothers though, right?
Yeah,
we finally
that's
see
true.
Completion. Yeah.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
From
From start to finish, and it was beautifully played, really well executed. Tried to do what they could with the situation they were put in. Unfortunately, couldn't have the out to Honolulu because it went to damage, as it is just a one-of. But still a great effort. Still an incredible effort done by Yusei. But Suo is going to be the one to go to finals, and looking pretty good while we're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just his plays just seem so confident. He just knows what he's doing. exactly what you want to see, and I can tell that he wants this, right? He's been in these situations. It's always been that last step, right? Maybe today things will change, but maybe we might be able to see what is happening on the other side of the bracket if we're ready, if they're ready. Who he might be fighting against, but if not, then might be a surprise, right? What do you think, Captain?
Yeah, it might be a surprise over there because between the two on the other side. Hang on, give me a second. I need to find my notes here. Chris, what do you think, Chris?
I mean, we might even get to see the
Yeah,
finals.
we
It's
get
gonna
to
be
see it
Noto
now, so-
versus Suo. I was about to say, it's like we haven't seen DI at all on stream, and
No,
somehow
we haven't yet. So
Noto's been running through the gauntlet, just kind of taking it, cruising through. They're gonna take it over Darren Carney, defeat Nightmare Dolls in the semifinals, and will be fighting for that first place prize versus Suo for the final match, and it's gonna be very exciting. Darren, as well as Yusei, will be fighting for third place off stream, and we will try to give you the tea when it is ready, and once we actually have the results from their side.
Yeah, and that's a scary matchup. For both players, to be honest. Noto should be able to has that scary NLK combos, but at the same time, the deck is quite fragile. So if Suo wants to just go in, right, go in and just go, right, it is still possible just to pop off there as well. So very interesting to see how that will turn out. But yeah, this is basically the finals. We get to see two brand new decks, pretty much.
Yes, we're literally, basically, the results of this new meta. We have the perfect mixture of these decks that, both got really, really well supported by P-Clan Collection and got some really great new tools into their arsenal, and also are able to play in this format where they might have originally been a little bit restricted by Order Colony, but now they can play at full power and go pretty crazy. But before we get to the finals, we'll give our players a quick breather to, compose themselves before the most important match of the weekend that we have so far. So we're going to go for a very short break, but don't go anywhere as we'll be right back. It is the long-awaited moment. It's finals time. Everyone watching, welcome, welcome. This is the match that will decide it all. The winner of BRO 2022 Premium in the Asia-Oceania region. It's pretty funny how NA is just wrapping up their Swiss rounds as we're wrapping up our whole tournament the entire 2 days.
yeah.
So, after we got all this way, how are you feeling, gentlemen? We've seen so many great games, so many cool decks, so many cool techs, this new meta. How are you feeling, Kai, after everything we've watched so far?
It's great. I now know what decks to play for Premium.
Nice, for BCS season, I'm assuming?
Hey! BCS season is a slightly different format, but this is
That is true. That is true. We do have a certain deck releasing that definitely shakes things up quite a lot.
Yeah, but this format is at least gonna last 3 months, I guess, or maybe actually just 1 month, because
Just a month, yeah.
Yeah, Clan Collection comes out soonish in English. So yeah, it's still cool. You get to see some of the new spicy Premium Collection cards, P-Clan Collection cards, just in their natural habitat. So we definitely have seen some changes in the metagame, I think. Right, guys?
Yeah,
Yes.
and especially with just this alone, just the PK collection alone, just really highlights so much about how a booster can really just change the course of the meta going forward from here. And of course, with the V-Clan collection coming out as well, with all the new stuff coming out, we have seen some really flavorful, very spicy decks already in the Japanese circuit, right, Chris?
Yes. Here in Japan, we've seen Arkami performing really well after Vowing Saber Reverse.
Vowing Saber very well.
Has released, that being a very cool card that works very well with Stunverse, but also, Exterminate being a very strong stride in its own right. But on top of that, Ripples are a deck that is very much something you should look forward to. If you are also planning to, play in the BCS season, granted, I think there is another restriction list in September, but I'm assuming there won't be data to, to make hits valid by that point, maybe. Ripples are looking to be a very strong pick for the BCS season, just judging from the term results here in Japan. But that is a matter for the future. We're here to talk about the present as we have the finals here between Highlander as well as No Life King Dark Irregulars.
Yes, both of these players actually well versed in the BRO slash BSFO ways, and both of them have topped as well a couple of times. So I can tell both of these players are very, very interested in getting the dubs, as you would say. And they're here in the finals. Unfortunately, only one can become first place. The other one will unfortunately become second place. But it's just a... Ooh. Noto going first here.
Noto is going first.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I want to see how Sue will play this matchup, because it's a bit... It's different in like how you want to approach it. Do I give DI resources to work with? Am I afraid of his combos? If I'm not, I can just be very confident and just, you know, freely give damage. But I want to just see how he plays around DI, right? DI usually you have to be a bit different in how you approach DI. So, yeah. And looks like he's just going in.
It's time to
That
get
is
started.
right.
I mean, this is the finals.
Ooh, the crit!
Ooh, Fujilin going into the damage zone, along with, well, I can't spot that, so, but it's a non-trigger for sure. But sitting at 2 damage at this early in the stage.
Rhodia is a great defensive option, as
Yes.
long as you can charge it up. Otherwise, it is very subpar. But with Mr. Fu here, at least can get 1 soul charge already. Rhodia itself is only like a 5k, but now will become, I think, a 9k.
Ooh.
Yes, so we have 2 cards going to the soul. Then the Variance Killer Tail will use this effect in order to soul charge once again. And now we're going to actually just go straight into battle with Fuginlin boosting there.
Selfish
And
coming
this-
out of drive check and critical on the other side.
So I think the Rhodia is now on 10k.
Yes.
think.
If there was 6 sold, then we would have had Fuginlin's effect proc, but as it was at 5, it did not. So we're currently at 10k.
So this is kind
being
of
able to...
this is kind of awkward, right? Normally you're a 10k, you're a Force Clan, but here we're at a 9k. But luckily had a boost. And
Yep.
just gets the Inez car.
Definitely want that to stay inside.
Yep.
Ooh, he planted ahead. He had the Steza, gets the draw, then unfortunately doesn't get the second draw.
No. So yeah, he passes the turnover to Notorious.
But this is kind of scary. Okay. Oh.
Oh,
Do we see a
she's
sit?
skipping. Yeah, she's sitting.
Yeah.
Alright, the power is only going to go up in increments now. Going forward, Variance Killer Tail does not have a target yet, but could use the Creeper to Soul Blast it out, and then push out, of course, another 2 Soul. We're gonna see Soul Charging a heal as well. Unfortunate, Killer Tail gonna go back into the Soul, gonna Soul Charge again. NLK has been found, which is now, we're at 1, 2, let's see, 5. We're currently at 9 cards in Soul.
Yep.
So this puts the Vanguard to 14k base.
Yeah. And
Already stronger than any grade 3.
Yeah, literally the best ride to get for Noto here, and I think she's only running 1. Which is,
Yeah, I think she only runs the 1. Yeah, just one of the Rhodias, but I mean, if you see it in the mulligan, might as well hold on to it.
Yep.
yeah, and staying at the grade 2 is quite important, because your defense power just keeps on going up, but you're just not ready to go off. Sometimes when you're playing as this deck, you're just gonna go for the 1 shot. You're gonna go for the NLK into the barrow. Then, you know, I hope a dump comes out as well, because you're at 20 soul and it feels awesome. And then your opponent just can't guard. But here we have the reindeer.
This is
Steven
the
wants to
ride-up.
speed up the ride-up forces Noto to ride up as well next turn. Or maybe she might not. She might just even stay on a Rhodia and continue to soul charge. But it just means that later on, you know, the next turn after this, Steven can definitely stride. And then go into, like, the
Helltrotter.
Do the max attacks.
That is true. Yeah, Noto she's definitely, I think, trying to kind of like power up for the one shot, and being able to recycle that creeper there has been really, really good in just finding the soul. On the next write-up, we will be at 10, if not 11 soul. I'm not sure if I think the Fuginlin did proc earlier. Here we're going to have, of course, the activation of Kutir, trying to find the Aqua. So, of course, Aqua is the way to recycle it. So, deck thinning, deck winning. We're going to shuffle through. Of course,
you also definitely need to search the... You have to search the Aqua first as well, because you run 2.
Yeah.
And then you bounce the Kutir and just get the search for whatever you want after that. So, pretty good. It basically pays for itself. And bounce and draw. And then we'll see what Sue actually wants to get after this.
That's right.
Is any special techs against this matchup? It'd be quite interesting to see like what Noto wants to do next. To be honest, I can still see she's staying at grade 2. You know, when you're on the Rhodia and you're getting big on the Rhodia, it's very attractive to just stay on it.
That's right. So now, for Noto, she also just wants to be given the CB to be able to combo off into infinity, right? Because of course, you know, you need the CB for NLK itself. Then if you go into Barrow, you want the CB for that. And then if you also want to combine that with the Forfax, the new Stride, you also need a CB for that. So, very CB heavy combo, but as, you know, So has just been dishing out that CB left and right. That thing has been quite nice. And we didn't actually note during the last turn, Kai, while you were explaining, but Noto actually checked a crit on the attack, but gave the critical itself to the back row to only give 1 damage pump to the Vanguard, or to not give any damage, rather, to the Vanguard in extra. So, with that, limiting the amount of CB that Highlander has.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but unfortunately, it doesn't stop the filtering.
Yeah, no, I see something very scary now, because Betty searched as Pearl Sister, right?
Oh,
and
no.
He still has, Sue still has a Couture in his hand. So, I think he can get the other person's, right?
Yes, I do think that is possible. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, you're basically just playing that kind of game plan where, it's like, oh, I don't even need to stride to have super powerful attacks, and we see the Couture call to the back row, which I think is definitely going in line with that expected game plan.
Yeah, this is very scary, because a Pearl Sister is big.
There she is.
The other one.
Yeah.
This is not something you want to see as a DI player, in a way, right? You're a combo player. You want to keep pieces. You're on your rodeo, so you're getting big defensives, but these sisters basically just ignore you.
Yes.
And
we cannot show off both of them at the same time on the. Actually, we can. Allow me to show you the power of technology. Right? That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So. We can show off both Pearl Sisters at the same time.
There we go.
There we go.
So first check, second check.
Oh no, leaves a lot, nothing there. Gonna be going to 4 damage here, which means that the Perla has to be guarded.
Yeah, so luckily for Noto, she is on the Rhodia. So Rhodia being 14k is coming into big effect here.
Now plus 1, that 1k difference is everything right now.
Yep. And putting back the Lupina, and then gonna use the reindeer effect. So discarding 2.
Olivia discarded. That is a very good card to find off the top. So that is one of the targets being eliminated, per se. Yeah, we see an Ange, which could be a target. Couture is not the right target here, I'd say.
No, it's not.
But is that
it's both Anges. Oh. It's both Anges available too.
Okay.
Sue was even bringing it up close, like, yes, these are Anges.
Sue can do a play if he wants to. He can actually go back down to 2 if he really wanted to here.
Yep.
But I feel like, is it worth? I'm not sure if it's worth to go back down to 2.
Yeah, well, let's see.
I think just the play. I think just the V-Ange is like already pretty good.
It is.
Though, if Noto does not have enough cards in her hand to guard, just no guarding the Vanguard is quite okay. Because there's only one check, and what are the chances, right? That's that's the safest one to guard, in a way. Well, no guard, I mean. This is a big decision. Big decision for
It really is.
Steven here.
Thing is, I don't think there's a point in writing down to grade 2, that's for sure, because that doesn't actually impact what Noto does at all. Because the deck just rides up to NLK, does its combo, goes into the 4-fax, which again...
Oh no, you can't, if you go back down
4-fax,
to 2,
yeah, it does need your opponent's Vanguard to be grade 3, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but since you already rode to 3, you can't use a heal guard or anything like that. And you don't run Rolox, so it's not like a cool play or not.
Exactly.
But yeah, so this
Extra
this
force now on that Pearl Sister, so it's gonna be blocked with a PG.
Yep.
Forcing up the PG this early though, and having to discard a crit is also kind of painful.
But she
And
does
now
want to
this
keep her
Anj.
combo pieces after all, so yeah. I'm going off counterblast 1.
This bounces the Katir again.
Yeah, and can actually search a Cotier. How good is that?
Oh no.
Oh no.
That is actually true. The amount of plussing that Bermuda does.
Actually,
It's
all his
crazy.
Cotiers are gone though, right? So you can't search.
Yeah, I think so. Wait, no, I think there's one in deck now. Because one was
There's only
revealed
one
from
in
the search from Reindeer.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
So there actually
Then
is
can
one
deck-
in deck, I think.
Then can actually deck thin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they're
Yep,
they're
yep,
already
there is
pushing it to the top as the target to be called here.
So yeah, this is kind of scary because if Suru like deck thins here, if the crit comes out, if Noto guards the Vanguard, then has to deal with the crit on the rear guard, that is a devastating hand loss. And this Anj is hitting like 33, so it's still pretty scary to guard. So the Katia
There
does come
she
out.
is,
Yep.
with 2 forces on top. This one at least is only 1 crit, so that's good.
Yep.
Yeah, and now we're going to the deck thinning life. I'm wondering what Suru's gonna search here. We will see it. We will see it soon.
Yep.
Ooh.
There it is.
Searches for that perfect guard.
Yep.
But yeah, there's
Alright.
33 in. I think Noto is only on 3 cards in hand, right? So
Might be 4, but it's
Might be
definitely not
4.
much. This
Yeah.
is honestly scary when, you know, Noto's deck is supposed to be the one that does like the ride-up kind of explosive OTK plays.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 or 5. I think it's 4 cards in hand. That is scary.
Very scary. 1 damage, and also 1 damage that she can actually take here. So you know, something's got to give here. Something has to give here.
Right, Anj. Of course, this effect was on a Vanguard swing. So we're still technically mid Vanguard battle.
Yep. It's
looks
still in
like-
the mid of Vanguard battle. Yep.
Oh yeah, this is a cut that you see very frequently in some other TCGs.
Yep.
Which is like the please put X cards from top to bottom.
Yep.
So you very often see it in even IRL play too, where people ask for how many from top for the cut. And we're gonna see a no guard. There's no crit. Noto can take this. Does not see a defensive in all 5 damage checks. A 33k swing. Can this guard? I think it can barely handle it with the 14k base of the Rhodia. 20k shield is required.
20k shield is required. So
God, my heart is already beating like mad. I can't
Same.
imagine what Noto must be going through right now.
you can see
2
her hand,
cards
like,
left in
shaking
hand.
also, yeah.
And look at that book of a hand on Suo's side. Can
Yeah.
Highlander even be stopped right now? Alright. Let's see how things will pace out for the rest of this battle.
She is G assisting for her grade 3.
That is not what you want to see. Noto!
No.
We saw an NLK go to the damage, and I think there's one in the soul as well.
Yeah.
You don't want your finals to end like this.
No, not
Not
like this.
with this kind of G
No.
assist.
No.
I believe that is a strike crit in hand. Finds the
He
barrel.
finds Barrow Magnus. Oh,
Not the great
not
3
the
to
best.
ride into.
No, it's not the best grade 3 to ride into, and she has to remove 2 of her cards from there. She's leaving the Dimension Creeper in her hand, so because if she can try and push for 16, then perhaps something might give, but it still won't be enough because of the hand size that Suo has gotten from his last turn. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
This is very heavy. We have to fight at one way or another. Let's see how things will go and what can even be done in this situation here.
Wow, that was a massive turn.
It was a massive turn, like it.
And
like,
here's the scary thing about Fu, is Fu helps your soul a lot, but Fu also can help your opponent's soul a lot too.
yeah,
hand a
That's
lot,
true.
yeah.
I'm gonna see Dimension Creeper, another NLK soul charged. You hate to see that after not finding it off the G assist.
Yep.
This
there are
is
still
15
plays.
soul,
15. She's got 15 souls, so good enough for Barrow Magnus.
but not a hope on dump.
Yep.
Ooh, not a, so Noto still has the 4 facts to go into, but
Yep,
it's
she
looking
does.
very dicey in a way.
Yeah, it is pretty dicey. So Barrow Magnus' skill going off right there. Couture will go into soul.
That will also put the Couture into the soul, that is important.
Yep. Then, calls out
Number of
I believe the
Terror.
number of terror. Yeah, number of terror going off over there.
Is there anything else? Any other good call target
Rhoda
from
could be a
this
good call target.
soul?
Yeah, Rhoda. Yeah,
It's
there
gonna
we
be a
go.
Rhodia.
Yeah, Rhodia. So yeah, she will gain the power from every card, so which is currently right now. I believe it's 15 still, so that's plus 50k on
Ooh.
that side. Selfish Engraver and Fujiline in the hand, not the most ideal.
So the assassin
Ooh.
is not in the soul, which is very
Assassin.
unfortunate. We just saw it.
Yeah, correct.
Wait, not activating the Forlax.
Does
that does
Noto
have to
enough
happen
hand?
at
Wait.
This has to happen at the end of the battle, but the cost is to discard 5. So if you
Yep.
don't have the 5 to discard for the cost, then you cannot use it.
I think
She
the other
doesn't have the 5. Yeah.
The other question is how much is in Noto's deck, right? Because Forfax does have that other skill. Well, actually, if you have 13 soul though, I think you should be able to. It should just work. So you do get to put cards back in your deck. Yeah. So if Noto had 13 or less cards in the deck, she can put back 3 crit triggers, which would be nice. But I guess is that only 4 cards? Is that
Yeah, it's only 4 cards.
Yeah, it's only 4 or 1 short. Just barely. The G assist into Barrow was costing it, because if the G assist went to NLK, that would have been to protect as the extra card in hand that could have been discarded for the cost, but barely coming short of the push. And we see here the Anj is being rewritten, or she was already rewritten earlier. Apologies for that. And it looks like
Yep.
the pass of the turn,
Yeah.
not giving CB to Suo, trying to just last with the 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in damage. It almost feels like all has been said and done, but Noto not giving up, still giving out hope. There are still heals left in deck, there's still hope, there's still a chance to potentially survive by a miracle and connect into the next turn. But will
Yes.
Suo allow that to happen?
And wow, it's that's harsh. There's only 4 cards in hand. It's like it comes down to also, the previous turn on Suo's side. Just putting on so much pressure just forces so many cards out of the hand. That's one of the ways to like neutralize DI, right? Some of the DI does require like a lot of high counts for certain costs, or just they need certain things to happen before they can get their soul set up, etc., etc. It's just one of those ways to kind of stop the power of DI, and now Sue is kind of in a pretty good position.
Yeah, very, very good position. I feel like that's been the story of Suo's tournament run this whole weekend. This deck has been playing itself like butter. Alright, we do see 2 cards revealed. Look at how many triggers are in here! Look at how compressed this deck is. There's barely any normal units left. we're going to be recycling cards here. Looks to be the choice for this turn instead, with Sistico, of course, being able to put an unit back, which most likely will be that PG.
We are literally playing V here as well. Okay, totally passed, right? No CB available soon, but no problem. Reindeer requires no CB to kind of get the rewrite off. The only scary part is that if Suo doesn't hit a grade 3 in his top 10 check, there are a lot of triggers, right? But then again, even if Suo has to...
That is another target.
Yeah, even if Suo has to ride a trigger, the trigger's swinging for at least plus 20k.
So that is true.
That is very, very true. So.
Yeah, with the amount of cards in Noto's hand, that could just be enough to break through. Aqua coming down to just bounce the Kotia.
Yeah.
Farm. The farming simulator still continues, getting that hand massive, and this will kind of shuffle the 3 around, right?
Yeah, we do want to get it out of the bottom of the deck as fast as possible. Look at this. So many triggers are in the deck, getting the PG added to hand just in case we need to survive. This isn't even a Protect clan, but the amount of PGs that are found is just out of this world over and over and over again.
And that Sistico as well is like 40k.
That is correct. That is indeed correct, and we're no longer on Rhodia this time to have the defensive buff either. Oh, and the Pearl Sisters come back!
Still has it! Still has...
Suo did bounce them last turn. They've been in the hand this whole time.
He did.
Oh, the plus 10k! Suo is trying to eliminate all chances of luck that could stop him from claiming the first place title.
That's
Suo,
right.
representing Canada here at the AO Grand Finals. We see a 6 damage heal on Noto's side, but needs one more and does not find it.
Get it, and
with that, Suo is your BRO 2022 Asia Oceania Premium Champion.
Wow, that was very well played from Suo. Showing that it's Lupina off, I think, as well, or the Olivia. That's set up at the end, actual perfect, everything with the crit except Vanguard, but you know Vanguard will be threatening critical as well. So you've got the whole lineup going there. You don't want to see that if anything like happen. Just want to make sure you get that win, and finally, you know, Suo did get the win. It's been a long time coming, and you know what? He still has another run in the EU region as well.
Yeah, could definitely run it back. This could be the Team Cardiff of the BRO region. You can see here how Suo made it all the way throughout the top cut bracket, going up against Tankman Mode Interrupt in the top 8, against OTT Susano, managing to take the win. Then against Yusei in the top 4 for a very heated matchup against Spike Brothers, where they managed to control the tide of battle and the flows of each turn and secure the victory. And now against Noto, just managed to push out enough advantage and not have to worry at all about the Barrow or the NLK and become the champion. Whereas for Noto, of course, had a very good run all the way up to the finals, managed to go, I mean, they were first in Swiss of the player rankings and managed to win the top 8, managed to win the top 4, and then simply could not find the pieces, the right cards in time during that finals match, unfortunately. But that was still an amazing game. It's still a pleasure to watch and to cast. So thank you to the players, thank you to the staff, and thank you to everyone included in this experience for giving us such a great top 8 bracket. And of course, we do have a winner's interview coming up as well with Suo once they are ready. But we will give them some time for that. Alright, so I think we might be able to get into the... I'm not sure if we're going to be going into the interview immediately or if we're going to have a short break first, but let us wait for some instruction from our staff to determine that, and then we will keep you updated.
We will. All right.
So yes,
Look,
this has been an incredible finals. Definitely been a very, very good top cut overall. We saw so many different decks, so many different play styles, so many different just ideas come to fruition at the top tables. So I'm excited to also hear from Suo once we get to the interview about their thought process. So we are going to go for a very short break while we set up Suo for this winner's interview, but don't go anywhere if you want to hear from our champion for today themselves. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We are here once more for our winner's interview with the one and only Suo, the champion of today's event. It is, of course, a pretty crazy time over there. So we're gonna get the deck profile POV. But Suo, how does it feel taking it all in this region? You only dropped essentially just one single game yesterday during Swiss. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good. I played Highlander like a champ, high rolled like a god.
Yeah, I mean, what did you actually lose to yesterday from your Swiss rounds?
I lost to Gear Chronicle. He won the die roll, and then I was on grade 1, and then I G-assisted, and then I missed, and then I was like, oh.
oh.
And then he took an extra turn, and then he strode on me when I was grade 1, and I was like, oh.
That makes sense. That does make sense that would happen. But
Yeah.
you were initially supposed to play against Gear Chronicle again in top 8 today, but the bracket did switch around a little bit. How was the top 8 run today? We get to watch you onwards from the top 4, but how about your top 8 match? How did that go?
So top 8, I faced OTT. It was pretty interesting, but I have a player back in Toronto that actually plays a lot of OTT. So he gave me a lot of practice. So the game plan was pretty much stay at 1 damage, make sure they can't unblockable you or whatever for 4 damage. And then he kept checking the top cards of his deck, and it was grade 3s. So I just kind of rushed him down. And then my grade 2 turn, I had Klasena, and I called a Pearl Sister off that, and then I got Coutier, and then I got the other one, and then I rushed him down. This was pretty good.
Right, that's amazing to hear, and I also want to personally hear from you regarding the BRO experience in general, because not only did you top and now win the AO region, you're also playing the top cut for EU. And how did it feel, going from topping in AO to then still running through, the stamina showdown in EU and making it to the top cut there?
I'm gonna be for real. The bro experience was good. It's just if you're actually a savage and you play all 3 formats, I gotta say, it's a lot of stamina. I think I chugged down 2 Red Bulls yesterday when I was playing, and then I think I fell asleep in between games during my EU match, and Solomon Derek Dow had to wake me up.
Oh my god.
And then right now I'm also drinking another Red Bull, so like I'm gonna have a heart attack, guys, help. Like
gotta be careful, man. You still got the top 8 to play. Get some rest while you can before EU as well. All right, Kai, any, as your fellow teammates, and you probably, know some of the thoughts behind the deck building process for Highlander, you have any questions for Suo?
Yeah, why Highlander? You normally play Regalia, right? Last time at BRO. This time you brought the Highlander instead. What's up with that?
So I'll be honest. I during Springfest, I went to Chicago and I played Regalia. And I'll be honest, bro, Regalia is not it, man. I was just so sad every time I had my own turn. Yeah, the kill turns are good, but I was like, man, this ain't it. So then I looked at what I had available, and I didn't have Nightmare Doll. I would have played Nightmare Doll if I could have, if I had it, but I had Highlander. And then I didn't even test that much of Highlander. I kind of just went to Kevin Cho and Albert Huang from WCC, and we were testing it, and we were like, oh, it's okay. It's pretty good if you high roll. And then we came up with this like how true to aggro list, which kind of only works if you high roll.
I mean, you say that, but this deck thins so much that it feels like you can secure that high roll just with your own hands, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest. In the finals, my hand actually did brick. I didn't have a grade 2, and my grade 3 in my hand was orange. So I had a what was it, a grade 1. grade 1, crit, overtrigger, Sandy, and Ange G. And then I actually thought I was gonna lose that because I didn't have actually didn't have the grade 2. I think it was another trigger. But if you have a hand like that, which almost kind of happens like maybe once every 5 games, it's very hard to come back with. But I did come back just because DI has that grade 1 that makes you stuck in the card and you draw another card.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Freaking literate.
Yeah.
And hey, you've topped quite a few times in PRO as well. How does it feel to finally win?
Yo, I ain't a meme anymore.
As long as there's a Blaster Dark, it can always be a me, baby.
Yes! Yeah! Blaster Dark Revenger!
Alright, Cap, do you have any other things you'd like to know from our champion today?
Yeah, I'd like to know what it was his hardest matchup throughout in the A region. I called back to your match with Yusei with the Spike Brothers deck as well, and just how he put on the onslaught with the Spike Brothers deck, getting their force 3 marker on there and just hitting you every turn with like 30k, 30k, 30k. 2 defensive triggers wasn't enough for you. Was that a tough moment for you, or did you have any other tougher matches along the way?
My toughest matchup. I feel like my toughest matchup would probably be Nightmare Doll, just because. I mean, it's just Nightmare Doll. Like they always ride down to 2, and then they always fight for first stride themselves, and then I can't really I can't get to do first stride as I want to. And my build is kind of RNG if I get to ride down or not. So. It's very, very tough. If I ride to 3, I have to commit, and then I have to pray to hope to God I hit like 1 or 2 defensive triggers. However, against Yusei, that was the Spike Brother player, correct?
Yep,
Yes.
correct.
Yep.
Yes. So Spike Brother, all I had to be worried about was, can he retire during his battle phase? And the question was no, or the answer was no, because I saw Bulk Spike Pen was the only card that retires, and it has to be on Vanguard Circle. So I just called Hanali down, and I think that made it very hard for him to continue attacking.
Yep.
And then I also had Resius in my hand, and when I called Resius down, I still had 2 more G guards, so I could have, called Aqua, bounced the Resius, and then G guard again, call another Resius for 33k base or 38k base. So I think once I hit 38k base, it's pretty hard for him to continue hitting me.
Yep.
But Nightmare Doll for sure, hardest matchup.
I see. Well, that's pretty much that's all that I got for here. So I just really wanted to know that also. But more importantly, you're going to prepare for the EU side. You're drinking energy drinks, and you're probably going to get something to eat too as well beforehand. I'm guessing that with the way that the with the Bermuda Triangle deck, actually the Highlander deck being what they, guessing you're going to be avoiding fish food for a while.
Yeah.
Just to not jinx things.
Yeah.
And again, I wanted to
Otherwise,
finishing up the interview here, ask if you have any particular shout-outs, anyone that helped you specifically in the testing process or deciding the deck list itself, figuring out the 50 cards for going into BRO itself.
Oh, for sure. Special shoutouts to Kevin Cho, Upper Kwang, my NA crew, always testing with me, helping me, decide what deck to play, and come up with a almost completed list, I guess. Helped a lot going through those Iron Man gauntlets, and then special shoutouts to Javon from Brampton, helped me figure out the OTT matchup, so I won my top 8 game because of that. Shoutouts to all WCC, of course. Always, you guys put me through the ringer and teach me what is meta, what is not, and give me all the analytical statistics. And special shoutouts to my sponsor, Upper Hand from Mississauga, Ontario. Always a good place to go there and play. Everyone's very friendly, everyone's very nice. I get to practice whatever decks I need to practice for BRO.
Cool. Right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Any other closing thoughts before we let you go and prepare for the EU run?
So I think the reason why I won with this deck was because I just bought an iPhone, and there was a scientific study that said if you own an iPhone, you will win, bro, and you're also 76% more attractive.
Yeah, well, I gotta go read that study now then.
Same here, same here. I gotta read this too, so.
I better go read that study on my iPhone right here.
Yeah, bro. You're already there.
Alright, so thank you so much for coming on for this interview. Go get some rest, get some food, get prepared for the EU run. We'll be rooting for you. Get that run back throughout the regions, and hopefully you have a smooth time over there as well. Once again, huge congratulations, and can't say it enough for being one of the winners for BRO here this year as well. And hopefully we see you next week for V as well.
Oh yeah. Bye guys.
Alright, take it easy. So that has been your champion for today, WCC Suo, who has been able to run it through the entire gauntlet. I think in EU, I'm pretty sure he was undefeated in Swiss, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
he was undefeated in Swiss, yeah.
dropped one game throughout 2 regions. That's crazy. I don't know, like if I'm playing the EU top 8, I would be scared just thinking about that.
I just play well, just play good, right? That's
Yeah.
just as easy as that, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you got everything prepared, have your deck prepared, you got the right phone, and that's right. Yeah.
That is right. That is right. So, once again, huge congratulations to Suo. An absolutely incredible performance and a really great showing. And I guess, with all that being said and done, that is basically it for the premium stage of AO. So, of course, you still have NA and EU coming up, and I think NA might still be wrapping up at this point from the looks of it. But at least for the Swiss Day 1. But of course, we still have many more weeks of BRO action. So don't forget to come back next week, the 29th/30th of July, depending on your time zone, to join us for the action for V-Premium, to see how the recent restriction list has its effect, and to also see the last of the meta before the release of Client Collections 5 and 6. That's going to be another very intense event, and you'll have to go and check it out. But of course, we also have Week 3 for Standard. We're going to be taking a week's break and reuniting on the 13th of August here in our local time, with Day 2 on the 14th of August, where we'll be watching Standard. Once again, no more Magnolias with inlet pulses. We're going to be looking to see what the meta will be for Standard after the Festival Collection has added some very good cards to a plethora of decks, and again, going to be the meta kind of leading into the BCS season. And finally, we'll have Week 4, the week after that, on the 20th and 21st of August for Weiss Schwarz. So we're going to be able to see how that's going to look over there. Unfortunately, I'm not as well-versed in Weiss to be able to tell you what sets or what changes affect the meta there, but I'm sure Kai will be able to take you through the action there for the Weiss week in almost a month's time, actually.
Yeah, it will be exciting. There are new sets, things like Danmachi, all that available. So be sure to check that out. And if you're a Weiss player, that's the week.
Make sure you sign up. It's not too late. Even for V-Premium next weekend, you like the action, you want to play yourself, you got yourself a V-deck in English, sign up and play, because everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome to join, and you might just find yourself at the top tables. Might find yourself being streamed, and might find yourself winning the whole event. So everyone is welcome. This is what BRO is all about, is a worldwide event. We are, segmented into regions, but everyone is welcome to join any that they wish. And, you could even be like Suo, topping multiple regions in the same day, in the same format, right?
Yep, absolutely as well.
You see a lot of familiar faces, but again, there are also a lot of fresh faces in the top tables as well. So don't get discouraged. Don't feel intimidated. Do your best, and one of those Origorums could be yours.
That's right. I mean, I think even for some of our top players in the bracket today, I think for Yusei, for example, I'm pretty sure this, I haven't seen them on the top tables as much before. At least, maybe they were under a different username, but again, we're seeing people get their first tops today as well, and that is a very great thing to see from all of our players. So I think going forward, maybe for next week, I'll try to get a nice little list of achievements from our top 8 players before Day 2, so we can actually run through those tops and kind of see the player records. But of course, if we run into someone like Suo, the list might be pretty extensive.
Yeah, indeed.
All right.
Right.
So,
So yeah.
with that, gentlemen, I think that is actually it for our side of the show. Any closing thoughts before we hand it off to the EU side for the top 8 later, as well as, sign off for the week?
Well, for me, it will definitely be the last time that you'll see me here for Pro 2022 because I'm going to be handing off. I'm going to be tagging in Professor Amar coming in to commentate for V-Premium as well as for Standard as well. So thank you guys so much for having me for the Premium format. So it's been a while since I actually, really looked into the Premium format. I have been sticking to Overdress to the Standard format quite a bit more closely these days as well. But it's nice to just go back and just see, just how the Premium format has shaped, especially after the Pecan collection, and it's been a real blast as well. To Chris, to Kai as well. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this, for being my casting partners. You guys are phenomenal. It's awesome to just watch you guys at work and also to be able to interact with you guys as well. So
Of course, the same goes for you, man.
For me, so yeah.
The same goes
Thank
for
you.
you.
Guys so much.
I'd like to thank Captain as well for hanging out with us, and also just everyone else as well. Been a great audience. We saw some great games. We saw some great plays as well. Great plays. Basically, a lot of great things happened this weekend, and I'll be here next week as well with Chris as well, and we'll be watching more games. So be sure to come in and take a look. BRO hasn't ended yet. It's just started.
It's just getting started.
It actually just started.
Yeah.
We still have EU and NA for premium,
Yep.
and still the other formats. So it's at least gonna be a great month of pretty much Vanguard and endless Vanguard. All right, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, I'm just glad to be back here. Being back in the BRO season feels really good. We've said this time and time again. The summer months always felt like this kind of like filler off-season month between BCS and BSF in the past. But now, we're back to IRL events. We're back to having events in person. But BRO offers this perfect kind of like this in-between, the slot for people to practice and get ready for the BCS season, or for people to just get into that kind of tournament mode leading into BCS, where they'll be fighting hard for their World Championship invites. So it's a pleasure. Thank you everyone that participated. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to all, the staff, the judges, to the production crew, and everyone involved that made this show happen. So I'm very, very thankful to everyone, and thank you for tuning in for today. And we'll see you next week for the V-Premium weekend. Make sure you tune in to EU and NA later today, and we'll see you guys around. Bye-bye.